The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Randy and Fream, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. It's about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 93. You can also contact us with questions or comments on Twitter, at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, or at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. So we don't have a Randy this week, and unfortunately we don't have a live show either, but we did bring in a very special guest, one of our top patrons, Mr. Chin Docta is in the house. How are you doing, Doctor Sir?
Doing really great, Fream. Good to be here.
Fantastic. If you can't tell from his accent, we have an Australian mate with us, so maybe he can fill Tarragon's shoes in. There's not the only person who's with me. I've got Proulx, of course. How are you doing, Proulx?
Good. I'm not from Australia, but
Nope.
That's okay.
You sound like you could be from Canada.
No. I guess somewhat close.
Upstate New York's pretty darn close.
Yeah, kind of close. We were about 3 hours from the border, so it wasn't too bad.
She almost made it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we got a great show. So much to the consternation of Big L, who's always asking to get people on, I thought, well, we don't have Randy. And you know what would be a great thing is that, for multiple reasons to have you on, Chin, is that we've got, we just finished the Great Random To-Do List, the 4th annual Random To-Do List, for which you did quite well. So that's fun stuff to talk about. The UHH just started, and you are probably the top scorer so far from the Z to Z community, although I haven't checked the leaderboards recently, but you've come out just swinging. And you also are, like I said, one of our top patrons. You are in the top tier, and so what better way than to reward that type of support for our show, which we so greatly appreciate, by having you on the show and talking to you and meeting one of our wonderful community members. So with all that being said, I do have a couple, just a tiny little bit of announcements, and I think most importantly, and this just is probably the biggest piece of news, and so I need everybody to just focus and listen and pay attention. It's from Koosh Moose, okay? And so this is his statement. I know this is not a question, but I thought everyone should know that Stushnikin, is objectively better at video games than I. Of course, that's Koosh Moose talking. Especially Rocket League and Clicker Heroes, and then all the others too. So I'm glad that's out of the way. For those of you who don't know what that is, Koosh and Stu had a Clicker Heroes bet to which Stu spanked Koosh handedly. And so Koosh now has to admit he is a terrible video game player. So we can all rest easy knowing how terrible he is at video games. The group that's not terrible at video games, and this has to be mentioned right now, is Leapfrog.
Oh, man.
Chin, were you in Leapfrog this year?
No, I didn't participate.
Okay.
I don't have the patience for, and I don't have the lists, to be honest. I play easy stuff.
It's insane right now. So we have the last 3 people alive right now. There are only 3 people, and technically, as of recording right this minute, I know there's still there's a cutoff in a few hours. Technically, only 1 person so far is surviving. We've got Jive Bot UK. He has his 8 achievements with a ratio of, so it's 8 individual achievements, all with a ratio of 11.2 or higher.
God, that's crazy.
Like,
ridiculous.
8 achievements. That's insane. Followed by Infamous, who has 5 of those achievements, so he's got 3 more to get before the period is over. And Pork Roast, who's got 2 down. It still needs 6 more to stave off elimination for this week, this day. I guess it's daily now, or it's been daily. Guys, that means they had 8 11.0 achievements yesterday, the 3 of them. Like, I can't believe what's going on here. This is just nuts.
It's just that every single time we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I think, on the show, and I was certain. I was like, nope, this week, that's it. And
there's no way. I said by Tuesday. I said 5 days ago it was going to be dead.
It's crazy. This is the thing. It happens every single time. Every single time one of these things happens, we're all like, "Oh, okay, I'll give them a little leeway. Let's just give them a week extra than what we think they're going to do." And then it's like 7 months later, and people are still doing this stuff. It's crazy. It's amazing. Yeah. Every single time, I'm blown away by the people that do these kinds of crazy things.
I agree. It's absolutely nuts. I can't fathom how you continually find all of these achievements to work on. And there is a question that comes up later about this from Dylan XBA. So we'll cross that bridge. I'm sure we'll revisit this one more time. But let's move into the bulk of the show and ask. We'll start with just a little bit of a gaming action, and we'll start with our esteemed guest, Mr. Docta. Chin Docta, what is your win of the week this past week here?
Well, aside from being on the show, and it's a bit of a cop-out, but the UHH coming back is so big for me.
Is it?
Like, it's hands down my favorite competition that TA runs. Probably the favorite of a lot of the community members. It's great.
Yeah. A lot of people like the competitive nature of this. I'm not one of those people, so it was tough for me to really cater to a competitive crowd in making this contest, but I'm glad you clearly are one. Actually, I have some stats for everybody because Rich shared this with me. I'm not sure if he mentioned it on his podcast or not, but we had thought that 10% cutoff thing was to try, take out some of those preloaders and just make it a little bit more difficult for the truly competitive teams, yet allowing those who are casual just to say, yeah, I don't really care, I'll just eliminate a bunch of stuff and go for fun. So I thought that the pool of the just for fun people would be significantly higher, and then you'd because there's only 256 spots for the top the top 256 move into the knockout phase, and what we had 1,600 some people sign up. 87.5% of those qualify for the knockout round. So only 12.5% of the population went ahead and had their games list pruned down and cut. And I think now in retrospect, I think it's mostly just like people are like you, Proulx, where they're not ashamed of their game collection and they don't care. So it's like, if it shows up, it shows up, whatever. I don't need to cut things out of my list. And like if a Guitar Hero achievement shows up and I threw away all my guitars, like, so whatever.
We will talk about that later. That exact scenario happened to me, so we will talk about that.
So, I think that's kind of the thing. I was just surprised how high that number was, 87.5%. That's pretty crazy. So, Chin Docta, are you geared to make a run? Is that your plan? You're going big or going home?
Yeah, I'm hoping to win. I think in the first UHH I made it to the quarterfinals, so if I can do that or better, I'll be happy.
Jeez. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. What happened in the second one then? Just cards didn't fall? Did you hit a steamroller or was there an individual maybe that knocked you out?
So I was up against an alt tag.
Yeah,
fairly reasonable list. I was at I think 17 or so with about 2 days to go.
Sure.
And then they basically got everything without scanning it in, and I wasn't paying attention because it was 17-0, and I was like, yep, easy, make it through.
Oh man.
And he got everything in one scan and busted me.
Oh my
bad.
That's brutal. That is brutal.
So do you partake in some of these shenanigans? Do you have like these subversive gaming elements that because it would help me greatly to try and come up with systems to try and prevent this from happening, but everybody's got a way to kind of I'm nervous about my UHH opponent just kind of lying in the weeds waiting for the weekend to just blow me out of the water. So do you do some of this stuff, or are you pretty straight gamer?
No, I'm pretty straight. I like to get sort of 2 or 3 quick ones out of the way, and then I'll spend the next half an hour combing through the list, seeing where I compare with him, and if he's got something where he's got a big advantage, I want to work on that a bit to cut that down. And
sure.
Yeah.
So
but it's all straight from me.
Oh, nice. You play the odds on, okay, how much do I have to catch up on that one, or can I score some of these quick, easy ones, maybe discourage him or something like that. I suppose in the knockout rounds, nobody's getting discouraged by anything. It's like, we just got to go. Do you actually have to get those few quick ones? So your top priority then is to cut down any massive leads, or do you try to go for like king of the hill, highest ratio achievement and work your way down? Or is it just all based on whatever your list is?
Yeah, it's fairly list dependent. I mean, if I have a gigantic lead in something, I'll usually do that, because then theoretically he'll see that and go, well, shit, dang it.
You're a demoralizer. You're just trying to totally beat them down and be like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to get those achievements.
Mentally defeat them, I think was the phrase that was used in the first one.
That's funny. Yeah, awesome. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. We'll come back to you in a sec. I got to hear what Proux's win of the week was, though. Proulx, what did you end up doing this week? That was fantastic.
So I'm not going to get too far into depth about this, only because I've used it very recently in the past. But as of this past week, done with Halo Reach. So started that game when it came out in 2009, or I can't remember now. But done. Finished it up. We got the last DLC stuff done, and there's just a couple of stragglers, but we're moving on to Halo 4 now. So basically,
and it's backwards compatible.
Yes, it is. It is.
How awesome is that?
It's amazing, because literally when we boosted on Tuesday nights, and we were talking about the session, what we were going to do next week, Wednesday morning, and I had said, we're going to move on to Halo 4 next week, right after we finish up everybody else's last few achievements. And I'm like, man, but I really wish it was backwards compatible, because that would make it so much more convenient and easier for everybody else. And then the next day, it was announced that the rest of the Halo games are finally going backwards compatible. So that's super fantastic and super awesome. So we will be starting Halo 4 probably for like an hour or so this week. And so we're done. We're done with all the good Halos. And
nice.
From now on out, Halos. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, no.
How long of a boost is Halo 4?
That's a good question, and I'm not exactly sure, because I'm getting kind of some conflicting reports about what exactly is entailed in that. I can let you know next week after we get our first session done. Probably get an idea of what's going on. I suspect that it's not going to be as tricky of a boost as Halo 3.
Sure.
But I don't think it'll be as quick as Halo Reach, based on my kind of preliminary look at what was going on. So, I'm excited to get it done. There's a whole bunch of achievements there. There's a lot of DLC for that game. And what's fantastic, of course, is it's all free now. So anybody that wants to join in, we do Tuesday nights at 10. Let me know. And there were plenty of slots open. So
10 Eastern time.
That's right. Sorry, 10 Eastern Standard Time. Yep.
Yeah, Eastern time.
Oh,
right.
Stop it. Stop
Oh,
your nonsense.
damn. Well, see, because that's I kind of want to get in on that, but I don't know. It's a big commitment for me. My win of the week is both a fun win for me, and as a bonus, it made Elle upset.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm just kidding. I kind of feel bad about it, but. It was the same night you guys were doing Halo. I went and I kept harassing you to somebody help me in Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. Right, we had the UHH was in session, and there's just an easy like if I just had 4 people to create a lobby, I could do this one stupid achievement. And so Big L was there helping out, and then we finally got a couple people in to help me, and it's like, oh, cool, okay, well. We were looking at my list, and I was like, I think I'm going to play Foul Play here. You guys, that side-scrolling brawler, a little beat-em-up. And there was one achievement where you can use 2 controllers to you perform this throw. And when you throw the guy across the screen, then the other player, your main character, your main tag, has to quick catch him or hit him like a baseball bat when he comes through. And it's called heads up, right? You do a little headbutt. So you got to do that 30 times. And so you can boost that with 2 controllers. But L was like, hey, you know what? Actually, it's super easy if you just get a 2-person boost going. So why don't I'm going to have it. Em and I played it. So why don't we'll quick do it? Like, oh, great. Fantastic. So he and I jumped on there, played for like 10 minutes, and got my achievement for the UHH. So, huge thanks to Big L. So then he went back to his game and finished that up and got his achievement for the random to-do list. Totally forgot that he signed in on the 1, and that logged him out of his 360, so he earned that random to-do list achievement offline.
Womp womp.
And so I don't know if that got fixed. I think it got picked up by the scanners, so all is well that ends well, but for a while there, Big L was pissed, and I felt bad, a little bad. I'm glad everything worked out, though. So, all right, let's get back to more fun and games with Chin Docta, just learning a bit about him, although we have a ton of questions from the community about it. What else have you been playing this week? I mean, so how has your UHH so far been? You've put up quite a bit of points so far.
Yeah, it's going well. I'm 15 and 11 up on my opponent, but he's still in a G-Task, so he's been doing a bunch of other stuff. Foreseeably, I can probably get 18, maybe 19. Final Fantasy 13 is a bit of a long one. Definitely not going to be getting my Dead or Alive 5 one. It's one of Proulx's favorite achievements. I don't think it's the beat the tutorial one, but it's like do all the challenges with the character, the combos and stuff. And
oh, sure.
I just don't have the timing and patience.
Those are terrible.
Yeah, it was the one game that I had to put back in my list to get under that 10% that I was really hoping wouldn't show up.
So something came and bit you. What was it? That one that you just mentioned?
Yeah, the Dead or Alive one.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, you roll the dice, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just doing a sort here. So what's your score right now? Oh, 15-11.
Yeah, 15-11. I know Angel SK has 18, so she's a listener ahead of me.
Yep. Looks like Tropan is at 18 as well right now. We got a couple 17s in there. So good on you. Buffs, oh, nope, that's somebody. So Buffs is a listener. Tropan is a listener. And then I got Chin Docta at 15.
What are you at, Fream? You're at 12 or 13, right? I assume, Fream?
I'm at 4. Winning 4-0. I'm playing against, okay, I'm going to try and pronounce his name here because it is German. And my German it's not so good. It is his name is let's see, how do I pronounce this? Beigenheit, I think. It's German for bending unit, and his avatar is Bender.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so he's got a nice score. 426,000 gamer score, so he puts mine to shame pretty handily, but hasn't been playing anything like on his own tag. I don't think he's unlocked any achievements this week, so that that makes me a little nervous. Oh, he did. He's been playing Forza Horizon and Rare Replay. So there you go. I
have a question for you, Chin. You mentioned about, I think it was UHH2 that you said. Did that scare you now? Because you're playing against someone that's semi-competitive at this point, so I imagine it kind of puts the pressure on you to get all of those. Do you play every opponent like they could come out of nowhere at the 9th hour and just hit you with all of their achievements, or do you kind of tailor how you're going to play it based on what they're doing as well?
Yeah, so I'm always scared to get knocked out now, so I'm a lot more vigilant of what they're doing with tracking them on Xbox.com and all that. But yeah, it'll be tailored. If they're not playing that much, I won't worry about putting up points. I'll make more progress and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because then even if I don't get it, it's progress towards them if they come up in later lists and if the game comes up again.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because
makes sense.
My opponent has only played one knight so far. He has 3, and I have 6. And there's a lot of games I really don't, and I have a lot of stories about trying to go for some of these. But I'm just kind of over it at this point, just this one round. I just really don't like the list. So I'm like, should I put a lot of effort into getting further and further ahead of him, or is it likely that he's not going to play anymore? And it's like kind of this balancing act of, I guess I should probably do something just in case he decides to, bust it out this weekend or whatever, but...
Like, is he as demoralized as you are with the list?
I would imagine so. It's a lot of stupid stuff, so...
Like, do you just hope, Proulx, that, like, by not curating your list, like, you just hope you get some decent stuff? Or, I mean, like... Because, like, when the decent stuff comes up, then you're more likely to play it, which makes your decent stuff pool get even smaller. And so, like, inherently, your tag is just going to be full of garbage.
Eventually, at some point, yeah, I suppose it's true. The point, at this point, I have enough unfinished stuff, like a lot of unfinished stuff, so it's not even really a concern for me. And in fact, a lot of the list that I don't want to do isn't just because I don't want to do it, it's because it's not feasible in a week. Like, there's beating Batman Arkham Asylum on hard, and like, I'm not going to do that in a week. Maybe I could, and if I could, it would be the only one I would get. There's no way I would get. Yeah, I get good.
Speedrun.
Yeah, no, thanks. I would have to be good, and I would have to get really good in order to speedrun it. So it would just take a lot more time than it's worth. And so I like the randomness, and even, like, I get your point, Fream, and I don't think you're wrong. At some point, if I just keep kind of cutting my list down and cutting my list down and cutting my list down, only ever doing the achievements that really I feel motivated to do, I'm going to end up with a lot of unfinished games with a lot of crappy achievements. But I think I'm a long way away from that, and until I get there, I think I'll be okay.
Fine. You're grave, dude. So, Chin, so what else? So, a couple of highlights. What on your UHH so far has been at least fun or interesting as far as scoring some of these achievements? You got any low-hanging fruit or any quick hitters that were cool, or anything that you're really, like, a nice high ratio something that was worth your time? Tell us about your list.
All right, so probably the most enjoyable one has been Oceanhorn, and that was just sort of like
I watched you stream that.
You were there? That was just a cleanup.
I showed up briefly.
So, because for a random to-do list, I'd had to get to the final island anyway, so it was just cleaning up where the heart containers were.
Ooh, synergy.
Maybe.
I wish I had some of those.
Maybe Toro. Toro, that terrible bullfighting game, was probably a highlight.
Oh my gosh. So I saw some chatter. Are you indeed on the leaderboard for bullfighting games?
Well, I mean, there's only one, and I think it needs to have 3 in the genre to make a leaderboard. But given I've played the one game, yes, sure.
I thought there were more than one so far. Maybe I was thinking of a different game.
I mean, the first week lists are going to be pretty bad in general because of that kerfuffle at the start of the round. Like, yes. They would, because they're just re-rolling within the game. It would have brought nonsense out, but terrible game is Valor and Verstand. So
that's kind of on my list of, like, I should maybe add it to the pool of games I'm willing to play at some point, because it looked pretty straightforward. But is it just awful?
I don't know that there's a story, so I can't keep myself interested.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a story. I mean, there might kind of be. It feels like one of those weird PC games where you're just like, yeah, I'm doing stuff, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason for me doing stuff. I'm just not quite getting it just yet.
And it's a platforming game, but the controls aren't great, and the ground is slippery, and running is terrible, and jumping is even worse, and it's not fun.
Slippery. That's a great... Always reminds me of those Mario levels when, like, you're on ice and you're just like, God, it's so hard to platform when the ground is slippery. Like, what is this garbage?
Yeah.
That's funny. Cool. Well, so I suppose we should probably, achievements aside, which obviously that's why you're here. I mean, you're part of the community and enjoy achievement hunting, but we should probably get to know you just maybe a little bit as a person. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you indeed are an Australian, and we pinpointed. Well, pinpoint's probably a strong word, but I could probably throw a cricket ball, or I guess a rugby ball, in your general direction at the top of Australia. Which we found some fascinating things out about at the beginning of the show, or well, off air. So, Chid, why don't you just kind of explain a little bit about you, like what you do, your lack of sleep, I don't know. Give some nuggets about what makes Chin Docta tick. Is it indeed a hamster on a spin wheel, on a flywheel, inside your chest cavity, or what?
No, I think I don't know who in the community pointed out it's a cybernetic core because I'm a robot, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. I think it was Koosh Moose had asked if you indeed regret the fact that you sold your soul and became a robot.
Definitely no regrets.
So no regrets.
Less sleep is good. More time to game. No, I'm a student. I'm in the tail end of an IT degree. God, I'm so uninteresting now that I have to think about myself.
Oh, don't beat yourself.
No,
we're all kind of boring.
Yeah, I work at a school. At the moment, I work at a primary school doing half IT work, half working in classes with kids.
In a primary school for
elementary.
Us non-Australians, that's K through 5.
Oh, is it? Okay.
You do kindergarten through 5th grade, or what is primary? Do you go kindergarten through 8th grade?
The little ones?
Kindergarten.
Do you have a high
sounds
school?
Like preschool. Kindergarten, how old is that? Like 3, 4?
No. Preschool is 3 and 4. Yeah. Kindergarten's 5. Okay. 1st grade is 6 years.
So then we would go ours where my state is kindergarten to 6.
Okay. And then 7th and 8th in their own
7,
school,
8, 9
or do they join in
their own school, and then 10, 11, 12.
10 get their own school, and that's high school.
Yeah.
So you don't have freshmen?
No, that whole system doesn't exist. It's all years for us, as far as I'm aware.
Like Hogwarts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So you go to a wizard school? Is that what I'm hearing?
I teach at a wizard school.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Do they look at you weird because you do deal with technology and you're
they would be very confused.
You're a dirty, filthy muggle.
No dirty looks yet.
Just checking. Cool. All right. And you live in the jungle, is what you mentioned at the beginning of the show.
Not the jungle. Tropical rainforest. Almost a jungle.
So, like, if you went in your backyard, are there... Well, okay, this is a dumb question because you're in Australia. I was going to say if there's dangerous animals out there, but your entire continent is filled with dangerous animals.
Nothing in the backyard.
Will you get some crazy stuff?
Are there rainforest roos out there or anything?
Drop bears.
No drop bears, no root. Oh, I'm a bit more suburban. If you drive about 10 to 15 minutes out, you might hit a kangaroo. Pests they are.
Yeah, they're like deer here.
I mean, it's nothing that dangerous. We get spiders, we'll get snakes, we'll get scorpions in the garage, rats. Nothing that's going to kill you because we have good medicine, but stuff that will hurt you.
Delightful. How come your accent isn't, like, super crazy? Like, I was expecting some real, like, Paul Hogan type stuff, but, like, you sound pretty normal.
Okay.
Oh, man.
The accent you're expecting is more from the northeast section, the Queensland.
Okay.
They're the, we call them sort of bogan. You would call them a redneck. I'll probably get some flack for that.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, gotcha. Do we have any community members from that area of Australia that you're aware of?
Misley Pluto is maybe not so far north, bit south of that state, but he's in there.
He's in that area. Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I mean, I've watched his stream every now and again. He's got a stronger accent. I'll give him that. But he's over by Tarragon, isn't he?
No, Tarragon's much further south.
On the okay,
I think
way down there. Okay. And then we got Cooper, R56 Cooper S11, and Oz Bundy Boy. I think they're up in the up on that north. What the hell side is that? East.
Yeah.
Says so he might be up there.
This is geography lessons with Fream and Chin Docta. So
so if you have to tell people like where you live on the Australia, do you use like an analog to say, okay, remember, if you think of Australia, because Minnesota, right? If you open your right hand, you can kind of make the shape of Minnesota with your thumb sticking out. Because it has that little foot on it, and so you're like, oh, if you're looking at your hand, it's kind of right in between your thumb and your your index finger. That's where I live in Minneapolis. Do you have any cool stuff like that in Australia? Do you like if you make a fist, it's here? I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
You guys don't do that. Nobody
we don't
cares.
have enough states that look weird. The
things.
The only sort of confusing one might be the Australian Capital Territory, which is nestled on the borderline of New South Wales and Victoria, because they couldn't decide where the head of the country would be. So they made a new state.
That's pretty funny. So it's like the Vatican City or whatever.
Kind of.
Like they just kind of plopped it in there, and they're like, this is going to be we're just going to put our flag down here.
Yeah.
Nice. So as a student, so you're working in your student. Is that like, you work full time, part time? How significant hours? So where does the gaming fit in? I guess what's a typical day in the life of a Chin Docta?
Typical would be waking up at about 7 a.m. for an 8 a.m. start, and so then I'll work until either 12:30 or 2:30, depending on what my schedule is.
Sure.
And then depending on what day it is, I'll then either go to another job at a family business until 7:30 that night, or home and game.
Okay.
So
that actually sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, Big L wonders, are you an actual chin doctor? Like, do you treat double chins? Because I think he's got one. And he's wondering if you've ever performed a chinectomy, because he would like to remove one of those double chins.
No,
presumably the lower one, I imagine. Right.
Yeah. So how do we get your gamer tag? Where does that? Where's it? I have a pretty good idea, but where did Chin Docta come from?
So it started off just as a nickname from football, soccer, where Chin is my last name, which obviously enough, that's where that comes from. The Doctor part was I'm a defender I preferred playing the defense, and I was clinical, so Doctor got given, so it became Chin Docta.
Nice.
Fancy. Well, that's fun. NBA Kirkland wonders, he asks you, what is your proudest completion? He also says, how do you sleep at night? Likely in reference to the random to-do list, and that's where the chain of comments go, because Big L is just wondering, do you even sleep at night? It sounds like you wake up at 8 a.m., but is that, what are we talking about for hours-wise of sleep? Because are you doing what I do, where, sometimes you might be up a little bit late? I tend to see you on Discord at all sorts of hours of the day.
Yeah, so, I try to be off the console at around 12 to 2-ish in the morning. It's been a bit different with the UHH because I've been streaming, and that sort of my 11 o'clock to work time is a fairly good time for both the UK and the US, because so then I've been taking a tiny nap beforehand, but I'm off the Xbox, but I'm still doing stuff. I'm still reading or playing on my phone whatever.
It's a very good time for streaming, because this past week you've been a great source of entertainment for me during my downtime at work with all the UHH streaming you've been doing. So it's been fantastic.
Same. I'll see it pop up on my friend feed, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just sitting at my desk kind of writing lab reports. I'm just going to watch some video games. So that works out great.
All right.
So keep it up. That's super fun. We actually have a question from Kronos, which, if you listen to last show, gamertag xpovos, right, Kronos. He says he wants to know about your preloading discipline, and we kind of already talked about the UHH and the random to-do list, about what your take on those contests is, but streaming-wise, he asks, how the heck do you get those stream overlays?
So in terms of preloading, I can't stand it. I did a little bit for GTask, but I hate getting really close to something and not doing it.
We call that blue balls.
I get that itch to get that pop when I'm that close. I can't stop.
I agree. I'm the same way, man. Stream
overlays, I'm going to have to send him some PMs on TA with some images and stuff, because it's not complicated, but it's easier with pictures. So I'll remember to do that.
Sure. Well, if you hook us all up, maybe we can put it in the show notes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also interested, and it would super help out our live show, because our live show looks like dog crap. And, it's a work in progress. But because I'd like to keep doing them, but I'd like them to be of worth to our viewers as well as because I can't possibly look at that chat and try and do a show. Turns out, I don't know if you know this, I tend to talk a lot. So, it's hard when I get sidetracked by... I know, right?
Fream?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's weird. I mean, some people have made comments, maybe, on Discord about being able to go to the pizza store. It's a pizza store. Who the hell? What's not a pizza store? You go to a pizza parlor, physically make their own pizza, bake it, come back, eat it, and then I'll still be finishing up my story. So they wouldn't have really missed anything. They can just listen to that story later. What about, so you had mentioned you love the UHH. What about random to-do list? Is that, just in general, does that fit in there too? Or do you kind of miss that competitive side on the random to-do list? It's more of against someone versus against yourself.
I'm still pretty competitive on that random to-do list if someone else is competitive too. If there's nothing happening at the top of the leaderboard, I might not care as much. And it's definitely taking a back seat. This little half period is going to take a back seat for me because the UHH is on. But
I've noticed that too with my gaming, where it's like, for some reason, I'm like, I got a whole month to do random to-do lists. And it's like, I only got a week for UHH. I better really focus. But there's like, you're going to get a new list next week. Like, you're never going to have time for the random to-do list if you keep focusing on UHH. I feel the same way. For some reason, there's more pressure in that one.
It's tough to balance those two.
Super is.
Yeah.
So priority goes to UHH. How are you doing in the random to-do list so far, like for your month of September?
I think I have 6 achievements. I think I got them on the first or second day and then haven't touched it at all.
Oh, boy.
What have you been doing since then? Because the UHH didn't start till halfway through the month.
When was it announced? It was like 10th of September or something. It was announced. So
yeah, it was announced.
Then I didn't want to touch anything. I just
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had registered, it's like you needed 2,500 achievements to qualify, and it was like Wednesday before cutoff, so it was like 2 days left. And I did a recheck just to see. You're wondering how I'm doing. 2,511 achievements above cut. I was like, oh crap! Like I can't do anything. I'm gonna play Destiny. So I felt pretty good about that because then I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah, I was 11 achievements above the cutoff. So you had, you just didn't really want to, like, you didn't go after anything that you're like, boy, I really don't want this on my list. Maybe I can take care of it now. Any of that pruning that you did, or not so much?
For the UHH, or?
Yeah, for the UHH.
No, I had to actually add a bunch of stuff. I started off, I think, at about 15% of my game collection not being used. And
really?
I realized that the majority of that was because I had a 360, sold it, or got rid of all the games or whatever and stopped gaming for a couple of years, got a 1, realized all those 360 games were on my tag and I should probably get them back and never have.
Oh, no.
So...
Is that just a real big list? How many? What's the count?
Of valid games, I think there's probably 30 to 40 360 games I don't have.
Yikes, that's a lot. Do you have like an easy resource to go get them that's relatively local, or are they really tough to find in Australia?
I've got the equivalent of a GameStop. I think there's 4 within 20 minutes drive, but the chance that they'll have the exact game I need is unlikely. So
sure.
Then I would have to buy it online, and it'll take a week to get here because I live in the middle of nowhere.
You mean there's no Amazon drone that'll just drop it off?
No, I don't even think Amazon runs here, or at least,
oh man,
like,
or at least
period?
not to where I live. So
we're talking like parachute supply drop type territory. Yeah, all right.
That's rough.
Said jungle, man. They're afraid. They're afraid of it. So we had a question from Planting, who he asks about your plan score. Do you plan your scoring, or do you go off the cuff? He's curious on how much went into some of those mega scoring runs that you've done.
So he's talking about my week before my Japan trip in GTASC, where there was a bonus, I think, to double your gamer score, or it would have been to double your gamer score from the previous week, and that was a week I'd gotten, I think, 8,500 gamer score, so I needed about 17 to get the bonus. Jeez. Which I needed to survive while I was away, which I then forgot about and forgot to use my bonuses and got eliminated.
Oh no, catastrophe.
But that was fairly well planned with how much time I need to be spending and what games I could use, but other than that, it's almost entirely off the cuff, or what the random to-do list gives me, or what the gamer tag is for the month.
Sure. Interesting. So Fug says that one thing he's noticed that helps is that you don't have a lot of multiplayer games in your library. So you don't have to worry about other heathens to help you get things done. Is that something that you purposely do, or it's just the nature of what games you have, or do you take the multiplayer part out, or what is your kind of stance on multiplayer gaming?
Yeah, I don't like multiplayer.
Is there a reason?
I guess in terms of achievements, because I'm so off the cuff, I don't like having to not necessarily depend on someone else, but have to sort of fit with someone else's schedule. I want to be like, sure. I feel like getting this now. Okay, I can go attempt to get it now.
I gotcha.
I get that. That totally makes sense.
Fair. Cool. Well, ZZ Urban Spaceman wants me to ask you about your so his direct quote, ask him how bad his team was in GTA SC. So what is he talking about here?
I don't know what he's talking about. We had a really good GTASC team, but the only problem was after we were eliminated, I had to go get spinal alignment surgery because I'd hurt my back from carrying them.
Oh, dang.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, shots fired.
No, I had a really good team, and I'm glad I I got out of one of the other teams who were still in there and a bit more competitive than I felt like being for the year. Went into a more casual team. We coordinated for bonus as well. I imagine, had fun while we were in the tournament. So it was a really good team. Shout out to ZZ Urban Spaceman, Sea Monkey Powder, Montana, and Grug.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, and so Meisley Pluto wanted me to ask, he's excited about the recap. He misses the fact that I haven't done a recap in 2 weeks because I mentioned last show I'm super lazy. I also tend to think I'm a little busy, but he's excited because his team is still in. The other Australian team, Big Willie style, is still alive in the tournament. Your team, Chin, was eliminated last period in spectacular fashion. I mean, you guys, just said, it's not what happened? Is there you were just done? You just said, hey, top 25, and that was your goal?
Yeah. So,
or did you still try to put up a little bit of a fight? Or did everyone go on vacation?
Originally, we were sort of aiming for. Spaceman wanted to get to about Bean Dive, so once we made it there, it was kind of we dropped down a little bit. Then we got to what was now the cutoff for top 25. No bonuses left, so we decided we'll make one final push, get there, and then call it a year.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, that's an amazing run. You guys had a nice run for a quote unquote casual team. But nice work. So like I said, top 22 for Big Willie, Punching Kangaroos, you're 24th overall, I think was where you guys ended up. So congrats on that one. Are two individuals still in from who at least I've had run-ins with, Oriole and Redemption Denied. They're in the top 44 for the individuals. So nice work on those. We have one final question directed right at you, Chin, is how far, this is from Skeptical Mario, how far would you travel for a novelty food item? Say one from the 90s, maybe.
Ooh, one from the 90s?
Any distance? Anything in particular?
I have traveled overseas, although it's a bit easier given how close to other things Australia is, but I've traveled to Japan and Korea for novelty foods.
Wow.
Like what?
So, I mean, not specifically for novelty foods, but it was one of the bigger things on the list was there was I'm trying to think of what it is now. It's watermelon ice cream in a watermelon in Japan. So
interesting.
Wait, what? I'm confused. How does that work?
So
they hollow out a watermelon.
Yeah,
and put
like
watermelon
a
ice cream
slice
in
of
it?
watermelon, hollowed out so there's still watermelon on the edges, and it's watermelon flavored ice cream, soft serve.
That sounds delightful.
With chocolate chip
or
seeds.
Boring.
Oh, clever. That's brilliant. That sounds like you can make it locally, though. Did you have to go to Japan for that?
It was the only one I could find. It was not something I thought I could find locally. I guess the only place I saw was that cafe in Japan.
Interesting. And so, well, I mean, like so when you say you're kind of close, I mean, what kind of a flight is that? Like a 4 or 5 hour flight north?
4 or 5 hours to Singapore, and then another 6 or so.
Wait, you go to Singapore, and then that seems like a weird trip.
Singapore's basically straight up.
Singapore like? Oh, it is.
So because my airport is quite small. There's nothing direct from us to Japan.
Yeah.
So I would either have to travel east for, I think, 3 or 4 hours and then a 10-hour flight north, or 2 little jumps north.
Oh, you know what? I'm mixing up Singapore and Sri Lanka. Isn't Sri Lanka like the little dingle on the bottom of India?
Yeah, that's the other half of my heritage.
Is
Sri
Indian?
Lanka. So.
Oh, okay. Sri Lankan?
Yeah, half Chinese, half Sri Lankan. So,
are you serious?
Yeah.
That's, oh my God, that's
good
weird.
pick.
Yeah, I just completely randomly, I don't know why you said Singapore and I heard Sri Lanka, or at least geographically, that's where I picked it. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to mention about you, your life, anything, or any other achievements that you've earned this week that you want to touch on before we let Proulx? I mean, Pru's just dying to humble brag about all the cool stuff he's done this week. So, but the floor is still yours. So,
all right.
If there's anything else you want to mention,
nothing too major. I think I'm just obligated to do this. But hi, Mom. This will be the only one you listen to.
Oh, nice, Mrs. Docta. Like I said, it'd be Mrs. Chin, I suppose.
Yeah, probably. That might make more sense.
It'd be more likely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't, do you guys? Okay, this doesn't come off as, I don't want it to come off as negative, but like I think of here in the United States when you are assuming that a person's mom will have the same last name, but our divorce rates are so high here in the United States that like that may not be the case. Are they high over in your neck of the woods? Like, do you have significantly high divorce rates, like in the 50% area? Is that a global thing?
Probably in my little circle of my 50-kilometer radius, it's probably pretty high. But I don't imagine Australia is. I have no idea. I can't imagine that Australia is that high.
A hotbed of loose morals and infidelity. Yeah, all right, I can see that.
A lot of things you're saying right now, Freem. You're just saying a lot of words, and I don't know about any of them. So,
Yeah.
You don't agree? Do you have a lot of friends, Proulx, that are like have divorced parents and stuff?
Well, I mean,
the divorce rate is that high.
Yes, but I wouldn't attribute all divorce rates to loose morals and infidelity. But I guess that's neither here nor there.
Hey, I'm the only one of my immediate family that's not divorced. So, like, bang on me, huh?
Interesting. I don't have any immediate family that has been divorced.
Yeah, I think my sister had a green card marriage that was annulled like within 2 weeks, and my brother, it's just I made a good pick. I kick ass, so I think that's why my parents don't like me as much because I have all my put together.
You're so my Freem.
Mark that time down. Put a bleep bloop in there.
Oh man,
Doing worse than me.
Yeah. See, I can't help myself. Why don't you start get me talking about my family? That's when, because they don't care, right? Freem's got everything put together. He doesn't sleep. I mean, so yeah, he's killing himself, but it's not a big deal. He's got normal kids, a normal family, and a normal house. There's no drama. Moving on, Proulx, tell us about your gaming, because that's what this podcast is about.
Yes.
Like guys, we play video games here sometimes.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a thing that we do.
I've played quite a few this week, in fact. So I'll go. I won't go into a long thing about all of them, but I'll just go through the list real quick here.
Like in alphabetical order?
No, I'm actually going to deal with my failures first, okay? Because of the UHH stuff, I've been trying and not so much succeeding at a couple of things here. So. I get my list on Monday, and I know which ones I can get easily enough, so I get the easy ones out of the way, and then I see get 1,000,000 points in Hexic HD, the first arcade game ever or whatever it was. It seemed like it was. It came with the Xbox or whatever, and I hate this game. I'm terrible at it. It's the worst. So I'm playing the game for about 20 minutes, and I get 3,000 points. No way, never going to happen. I'm not going to get to 1,000,000 points. I don't care. I hate the game. Put it down. So, you mentioned earlier that I don't touch my list at all. Any game that I've played is fair play. So I get a Guitar Hero 2 achievement, and it's for getting a 1,000 note streak. But I got a Guitar Hero 2 when it first came out, and I've moved several times since then, and because of that, lost my Guitar Hero 2 guitar. Now. I went to a couple secondhand shops to see if I could get one, and apparently, in order to play Guitar Hero 2, the only two guitars that work, or two common guitars that work, were the Guitar Hero 2 one and the Guitar Hero 3, or one of those ones. Anyways, they're really hard to find, and they're like $50 used, which I think is going to be a crapshoot, and then like $200 new. So
it's insane.
So no, I'm not going to go for that. But I'm thinking if I could find an easy enough song, I could do it on my controller. No, not the case. Freebird on Medium was what was suggested the most in the solutions. Good Lord, if anybody has any significant achievements on the controller playing Guitar Hero, my hat is off to them. My fingers cannot move like that. I can't process. Because, when you see the note highway and you see all the notes laid out horizontally, but they put the buttons on the left triggers, not the left triggers, the triggers and the bumpers. Right. So you kind of have to translate the horizontal highway vertically in your mind with your fingers while you're trying to do it. It was just too much. It was just too much for me to do at a fast pace, even only on medium. I just put that down. So not getting that one either. So then I put in Wolfenstein, the New Order, or the Old Blood, whichever the second one was. And I complained about this months ago. Probably last year, actually. They have really tough challenge rooms. And just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Like, the margin of error is so close on those rooms, like on those challenges. You really have to kind of do a perfect streak in order to get that. So I just got frustrated. Whatever. I didn't get them. Those were the three that I really struggled with. The ones that I actually got, Gears of War 3, I got all my collectibles done. I won in South Park, the Tower Defense one, Assault Heroes, and Tetris. And then we did an impromptu boosting session the other night for Assassin's Creed 4 for Black Flag. I needed one really just basically participate in an online match, and I put the call out in the looking for group chat, and a bunch of people jumped in. So thanks for everybody that was there. And
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, no.
You did that at our Discord.
I did.
Discord.me/Freamhole.
And people, it was real quick. I mean, it was like 10:45 or something, and I'm like, hey, I need this amount of people, and more than enough showed up, and we all got it, and it was great. So if you're ever looking for something like that, that would be the place to go. It worked out really well. The only other thing I wanted to mention about UHH was I got to play Half Minute Hero again, which I forgot how much fun that game was. Man, that is a lot of fun. And I had to go through and just get all the alternate endings. This is what I like about this competition. Like, the randomness of it is like every now and again there's going to be this gem that you kind of forgot that you even ever played. And that was a lot of fun. So that's what I've been doing for UHH. And the rest of my list is probably not doable. So I'm really hoping that my guy just stays dormant, and then I can just coast through this first stage and maybe get a better list the next one or two or three.
Well, good luck on that. Like I said, am 4-0 on the German Bender. I just hit a bunch of the easy ones. I had 2 in Lego, the Lego Movie, the video game. They were like, I haven't played much of that game, so I actually had 4 achievements in that game on the list. One of them's for beating Chapter 9, and one's for beating Chapter 12, and I think I finished Chapter 3. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to spend the time to do the rest, but I'll do the 2 low-hanging fruits, no problem. And I got the low-hanging fruit in the Xbox One version of Plants vs. Zombies, like I mentioned, and Foul Play. And then for the monthly gamer tag for C Monkey Powder, whose gamer tag is the month, there's that O. And I had mentioned on the last show that I was planning on doing Omerta, the Japanese incentive DLC. And I wanted to finish that up to get that completion again. Yeah, that DLC pack is 15 to 20 hours worth of gameplay. Yeah, didn't realize that. And the game itself is it's relatively easy. So it's turn-based combat during your fights, like XCOM style combat, which was kind of fun. I mean, I like that type of battle system in small doses. Like it's tough if it's not very engaging, but this was pretty adequate. And then there was a world building piece, almost like a SimCity Tropico type city management piece. And so you could get, if you understood the systems, the economies at work, you could set up a pretty nice ring of illegal joints like racketeering and casinos and pawn shops, and so you'd have an influx of beer and hooch. This is again Prohibition era Atlantic City, and so beer's all illegal and stuff. So you got all the beer, the hooch, and firearms coming in, and you pull in dirty money from those establishments, and then you got to launder that dirty money and turn it into clean money so you can buy property and expand your criminal empire. And so, it's kind of a cool little building sim. And I remember the main game being pretty easy because you could just amass a ton of money and then just kind of play out the clock and finish that up. Well, this new DLC, what it adds is a whole separate side campaign. And again, starting from essentially nothing. You pretty much start from nothing every time. And so you got to build your criminal empire up. It's like, all right, great. I remember this, so I'll buy the henchmen I want, and I'll start to expand my territories, and get my my speakeasies up, get my gun runners going. This will be great. Yeah, this will be great. Well, so then all of a sudden, one of the new mechanics shows up, and it's rival gangs. It's like, okay. All right, I need a bad guy to fight. That makes sense. What I didn't realize was the rival gang is literally doing the exact same thing on his side of the map, and it's an AI-controlled thing. But so he's going out and taking over all these territories, and then he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to be a jerk, and I'm going to go just take over your establishments, and I'm going to do drive-by shootings and just take away all your resources. I hope you don't mind. And so he just ended up crippling my ability to make money. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to mainline it to get this first achievement for finishing, there's 4 acts to the campaigns. I'm just going to finish the first chapter. It'll be fine. So I did the first, 5 or 6 steps of the quest, and all of a sudden, one of the second to last step is, oh, hey, by the way, take out that rival gang. And it's like, oh, geez, fine. How am I supposed to do this? I don't have any... You know what? I'm just going to go straight for his hideout. I'm going to walk in, guns blazing. I'm going to beat him in combat. And so I tried to do that, and it said, yeah, you're going to need to weaken his empire first. He's too strong right now. And I'm like, oh... You gotta be kidding me. I've just let my empire fall apart because I was just trying to mainline this quest. So I spent 3 hours on that campaign level to get nothing. No achievements, just hot garbage. So I was like, well, with the UHH starting, this DLC is not coming up for sure, so I need to get an O achievement. And so, 2 O achievements, right? So one of them it's going to be Omerta. So I said, all right, what's one of the easiest ones I can find? And it was called Home Turf, where you have to beat the game in 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is 2-day night cycles. And so there's a nice walkthrough on TI on how to do it. You essentially just get a car as fast as you can, go find the informants and find the hideout, and just launch your attack almost immediately on the hideout. And you got to amass 50 guns somehow. So you buy them from strangers, you raid warehouses, whatever, just to get guns, and you put your raid on. And one nice thing about this, and it's risky, but you can sim battles. So instead of actually playing the turn-based combat, you can just be auto-complete. You got a 70% chance. I'm like, whatever, I don't even care. Most of the time my guys end up getting maimed, and so I got to build a clinic to fix them. But that game is way hard now. All these new things that they've added make the game really tricky, which is good from a gameplay perspective. It's terrible from a completion perspective because I'm super frustrated with it. And I know that if I want one more achievement in that, it's going to probably take me another, 3-4 hours to figure out how to do that campaign part. So you know what I did play instead then? That just puts my whole mind at ease? Destiny 2. That just makes my life so happy and wonderful. And so we had, it was on Sunday night, our normal Zombie Army Trilogy night, and we said, well, hey guys, look, do we want to have some Zombie Army tonight or just make this an impromptu Destiny night? And sure enough, Beer Me and Koosh said, we're playing Destiny. So Beer Me is way far ahead in comparison to Koosh and I, who actually, I'm sure Koosh has played a little bit this week, even though he's a terrible gamer and sucks at everything that's video game related. He and I were on parallel paths, and so it was fun to kind of go through some of the campaign missions with him. And then Beer Me just kind of led us around all these heroic events and just helped us farm some of those. But we're not high enough level for it to make it worth our while. But man, I'm still really liking that game, Proulx. So I'm excited for when you get it and you and I can play together.
Oh, yeah. That'll happen quarter to never. Ever.
It'll be great.
Never.
It'll be great. Hey, did you end up playing Plants vs. Zombies this week?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Got a few. I think I only got one. But we made some progress and stuff. So actually, I played it twice, obviously, because the one night after Halo, you asked for some help. I was there, got an achievement there.
You barely played it.
Oh, no, that was 5 minutes for sure. But I got an achievement, so and then we did boost it a little bit. I think there was a bunch of people also doing the 360 version, so it seemed like we played for about an hour and a half, I think, and then some people jumped onto that. So it wasn't like a whole night kind of a thing, but yeah, I think everybody got something that night, so...
Yeah, because your boost sucked. That's what I hear.
Hey, that's rude.
That's what I'm hearing. The one version was a pile of hot garbage.
To be fair, well, I don't know what the problem was.
Was it Random City?
It was. And well, it's not. Yeah. Actually, it was worse than Random City. We had one guy who showed up in all of our games who was level 300 something. And this guy would just, we were trying to, it was Fufu Cuddly Poo's first time playing, so we were trying to get him get the most kill achievements. This guy was Garden Warfare
having it.
Pro and was just crushing everybody that would even come near him. So he would just, and we couldn't get rid of this guy. So he kind of ruined the boosting. I blame that guy. I don't remember his name, but somebody in the boosting session will, and it was his fault.
Public call out. I'd like to hear it. Yeah, because we ended up pulling in Mighty Mango came over,
yep.
B. Smittle came over. They had said, hey, I'm done with the 1. It's hot garbage over there. I don't want to play it anymore. So they jumped on the 360 version with us, and man, we had a nice crew going. We had an 8-man group going. Now, we still had randoms, so that sucked. They popped up here and there. I personally ended up with 9 achievements in that one.
Oh, wow.
We did a nice. We had a nice run. It was kind of a free for all to kind of get things started. We were working on we did the Taco Bandit thing real quick, and then we were doing gnome bombs. And so it's like, all right, everyone just free for all, go, just grab the bomb if you can, plant it if you can. We'll do the disarms. Just call stuff out when you're coming, and then because you got to get those 15 wins anyway. So we figured, let's just do what we want to do. If you've got specific star challenges, just call them out. Hey, can anybody come in as an engineer, and can I kill them? Can I eat them with my guy? Whatever. And so it was kind of a free for all to get started. I was more of just trying to figure out who we had available to play. I was super happy with the turnout. So it was a fun little boost, and we made some decent progress on it. There's still some gnome bomb left to be had. But we ended up having to move around quite a bit because there would be like 2 or 3 randoms who would show up and then just kind of mess everything up. And so we'd, okay, let's go to Vanquish Confirmed and see what happened there. And so, hey, we've got a clean lobby and we ended up playing for, 20 minutes. And, lobby's got 3 randoms in it. All right, let's back out. We'll go to this game mode. And then we just kind of hopped around trying to find empty lobbies. And it worked for the most part, but...
now, Fream, I know you were doing a little bit of bragging there about how your session was better than ours. I just want you to know that once all those people left, there was a group of us that went and played Rocket League. So I think in the end we won. But, I guess your 7 achievements or whatever you got was worth something, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Because I'll have so much more Rocket League time when I finish that game before you.
We'll see.
I have 3 Rocket League achievements on my UHH, and so I've been putting a little bit of time into it. Some of them, like if I wanted to grind out those, I had like 300 goals left. And it's like, do I really want to grind that out? Probably not. I do want to get I think I need like 10 more. Proulx, we should play after this show. I do have like 10 more. That'll be super late for you. 10 more competitive goals or assists that I need. I played a little bit with Koosh and who was that? Fufu. The 3 of us played because Koosh needed his placement matches, and so I stayed up way too late doing that. But it was super fun.
Yeah, the time goes by real quick. Yeah. You're always like one more. Okay, one more.
Yeah, just one more.
Yeah.
What's the point, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man, super good. Great. Okay, so that's kind of what we've been playing, man. That was long. That was a lot of stuff we've been playing. Let's we got some news we should talk about. All right, so let's get into news now. Because there's some things to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is Proulx, you had started mentioning in the show, in the forums and stuff about Minecraft, that the Better Together update had started rolling out on a bunch of devices and stuff, and you're a little nervous about losing achievements or how the lists were going. Did you get clarity on all that? Or you feel like you know what's going on?
I did. As far as I understand, and I haven't tested this myself, but Tarragon came in. There's a bunch of different people that kind of gave me different information on it. So, and I think Tarragon kind of gave the final word here. So how I understand it is the Pocket version, as well as the Windows version, is the architecture that it's going to be on from going forward, the Better Together version. So those versions are just getting updated. Those lists are the same that they have always been. That they're not going to be changing as far as that's concerned. The Xbox 360 and the Xbox One version. Actually, I'm not really sure if there's going to be a new Xbox 360 version, but the Xbox One is getting a brand new version of Minecraft that will have the same list as the Pocket Edition. So, and you can have both games at the same time and work on both lists, as long as they don't delist the older Xbox One version. So the one that you have now, you can continue to play, but there's going to be a new version, and that's going to be the updated platform essentially across the board. Now, all of the lists are still going to be separate, so you're still going to be able to get your iOS achievements, your Android achievements, your Windows 10 achievements. So none of the lists are going to be integrated, but they're all going to have the same lists. So I believe everything I just said is accurate. If I'm wrong, let us know, but I think that's how it's going to be.
Perfect. One thing that's not going to be in there that's super disappointing to me is because it's in the Minecraft education version of the software. They have merged. They're merging with Oregon Trail, and they have a playable version of Oregon Trail in Minecraft now.
Awesome.
Wow.
For the educational version. Those of you, so you guys had Oregon Trail out there, Chin? You're familiar with that game?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Was it weird that because like presumably you didn't learn about the Oregon Trail in school, that's kind of an American history type thing. How did you come about understanding what Oregon Trail was?
I mean, I probably don't even fully understand it. I just knew, I don't know how I came across it, but I knew it was a game that you had to play because of the dysentery.
I was going to say, he played Avoiding Dysentery game. I'm sure that's probably what they know it as. So.
Yeah. So just a quick recap for those of you who don't know. When the colonial United States was born, it only was the East Coast. And there's a thing called Manifest Destiny, and they said, hey, we got to go west and get over there and just take over this whole country because, that's what we do. And so they started creeping over, and they got to St. Louis, and they're like, all right, this is pretty much past here is the boonies. And so, like, if you want to go, like, you got to go all the way. And that's where the St. Louis Arch is, right, the gateway to the west. And so once you got there, you're like, all right, we're making the long haul. And so you made this trail, and, of course, it became a trail because so many pioneers rode it. It went from St. Louis through the Rockies over toward Oregon in the upper, following that river. What is that, the Colorado River? What the hell goes that way? Anyway, so that's essentially your journey, and it talks about colonial Americans or the pioneer Americans who made that trek. It was incredibly arduous and ridiculously difficult, and there's no modern medicine or anything, and so you're pretty much going to die of dysentery. That was going to happen on every go, and so it was like one of the first games where you could name the characters, and so you always would go on your quest with your buddies. And so, when my friend Josh died of dysentery and poor Lisa got bitten by a snake and she died, and then I went to the river and I was like, I can float my thing into the river here, my wagon. Yup. And that goes careening down the river and smashing into rocks. Oh, yeah, you lost all your supplies. You pretty much were just going to die on your trip. And I'm sure tons of real people actually did die. But that's the basis of Oregon Trail, and to know that it exists in Minecraft, like I know there's no achievements in the education version, but I want to get my hands on this. This sounds like something right up Randy's alley as well.
So I want to just also clarify here in the very brief Cliff Notes version of American history that Fream just presented to everyone. Minnesota itself is counted as the boonies because it's west of St. Louis. So. Just to clarify there, you're now just up to speed with the rest of us because that's kind of what we all think, Freem. But I just wanted to.
Hey, you know what I heard today from? I've had customers in all week, and so like on Wednesday I had worked 16 and a half hours. Tuesday or Thursday I worked another 10 hours. Like it's been an awful week for me work wise. But one of my customers who was he's from California, and he was like, I just read in whatever reputable publication. I don't remember which one it was, but he said Minnesota is the number one best place to live in the United States. And so, just throwing that out there. I should have asked him where crap Virginia is on that list, or their butthole Maryland or whatever, that whole area.
Butthole Maryland. That's good.
That's a city in Maryland, isn't it?
Well, Maryland is pretty terrible, so I wouldn't argue that. But
just perfect. Just to be clear, Anyway, we're flyover country. Nobody cares about us. It was the sticks. I mean, it's like even living here in Minneapolis. Minneapolis and St. Paul is a fairly substantial city. I don't remember where we stack on. We're in the top 10 of like biggest metropolitan areas, but I think. Someone fact check that for me. Anyway, so like, we have the niceties of an urban center. But like when I grew up, like I lived in the exurbs, like right on the outskirts, and I'd be like, oh yeah, man, you don't want to go up like 10 minutes because then you're like in farm country. Like my hometown, like is fine. One town up, that's the boonies. Well, now I live in that town one up, and I'm like, yeah, no, my town's fine, but the next town up, man, now that's the sticks. Like you don't want to go that far. So like it's pretty crazy how even just in those small microcosms. But yeah, I would consider Minnesota. Nobody cares about Minnesota, which is great. That's why we don't tell anybody how awesome it is here, except in the fact that December through April is pretty much unlivable. But aside from that,
Minneapolis St. Paul is number 16, so not even close. The top 10. Yeah, sorry.
Top 20, baby. Where's your town?
Oh, that's a good call. Okay, I'm actually number 6.
What do you consider?
I would be number 6. So.
DC?
It would be
yourself?
It's close enough. I would consider myself close. It's Washington, Arlington, Alexandria area. I would consider myself close enough to that. So,
what's Baltimore?
Let's see. Baltimore is number 21.
Okay, so at least we beat that crap hole.
Yeah, well, Baltimore is terrible, so that's not hard. But
Jin, how big's your city in the hierarchy of Australian towns? What is the order? Is it Sydney, Melbourne, Perth? Am I going down the list in the right order?
Those are definitely 3 cities.
Are they the top 3 in terms of population?
In population, probably it'd be Melbourne, Sydney. I want to say Brisbane next, and then, which is Queensland, which is the northeast bad area. And then probably Bogans. Perth.
Now, Bogans, are they like monster human beings? Because I hear Bogan and I think of some sort of like mythical creature. Do you have any of the etymology where a bogan comes from? Like redneck is pretty clear. Like a redneck is like someone who stays out in the sun and wears, crappy t-shirts. And so all you see is a sunburned neck. But like a bogan, is that like a thing?
It's a type of person, but I don't know where it comes from. It's handed down knowledge.
It reminds me of a boggart. From Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Again, another.
And that's what I'm thinking too, right? Yeah.
It's
Are those little blue buggers that
those were Cornish
shape-shifting
pixies.
ones.
Yeah, they're the ones that were inside. Yeah, exactly. They represent
your fear.
Yep, your fear.
That's right.
A bogan, I mean, to typify it, it's the kind of person whose fancy wear would be singlet and a shorts.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's their going out wear.
Yeah, class it up a little bit. Well, I mean, it would be the tuxedo T-shirt, though.
No, like a singlet, wife beater.
Yeah. But
tuxedo
like
version.
it would have like you'd use a black marker to put a bow tie on there. I mean, to really, if that was like,
fancy
if it was like a wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but my city would probably be bottom 2 with population. I mean, my
bottom 2 of like big cities.
My state has about 250,000.
The whole state.
Yep. So then I think 150 of that would be in our capital city, which I'm like 10 minutes away from.
All right. So you would associate with that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So Oregon Trail, history lesson, more geography. This is great. This is great, guys. We're learning so much this show.
Yep.
Z to Z teaches typing.
That's
going to be a game. Did you ever do that? Mavis Beacon? She was huge into educational video games. Anyway, speaking of old school video games, Seamus Blackley, you guys may know him as one of the creators of the original Xbox, the OG, and he's been on a quest to get the Duke controller in the hands of users. Well, he has tweeted a picture that says, "The new Duke has gone to tooling and has been approved by Xbox. This is happening, people. The Duke. It's on its way."
So excited.
Have you seen this thing?
I am so unbelievably excited about this. Like, ridiculously.
Are you really?
Oh, I cannot wait. I may buy 2. I'm not sure yet.
Are you kidding? I'm looking at it in his hand on this Twitter picture here. You can check it out in the show notes if you want. it looks like a Frisbee.
I'm not-
Like, the size of this thing is a dinner plate.
I'm not going to use it, but I'm so excited to have one, and I love the fact that it's a little LCD screen in the middle there now.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Did you ever actually use the Duke when the original Xbox came out?
Jin, you?
Oh, I was on a PlayStation back when the OG Xbox came out.
Oh, yeah.
That's a monstrosity. I'm not going to touch that thing.
Yeah, they were, let's just say, clunky, to put it nice. But no, they're terrible controllers. But it's like, what an awesome throwback and amazing kind of just this like perfect way to celebrate Xbox. I'm very excited about it. I don't know if I'll maybe put it in a shadow box or right out in my entertainment center or something. I'm super excited about this. I really want one. I don't think I'll play very much with it, but I do think it's a really cool piece to have, just to kind of represent, the love of all things Xbox.
I do like the fact that it chronicles a period in history where, like, you can look at the evolution of controllers and say, like, like the Dreamcast and the N64 and the GameCube and the Wiimote and the old PlayStation. Just look at how controllers have evolved and, like, what pieces have stuck out. It's like, you look at the Duke and you just say, like, very clearly you understood that size was going to be a problem. Like, this thing is just massive and heavy and you could hurt somebody, but, like, having all those buttons, right? Like, having more buttons has always been keen on people's idea that, because then you can map to so many more things and you'd have more flexibility with your programming. And, it was cool. Trigger buttons, the analog sticks, like all sorts of stuff like that and how they've carried over. I never played original Xbox. I think I actually held that controller once in my lifetime to play original Halo at some point, but I never owned one. I got in on the 360 version. So
the middle Xbox thing there, the
jewel.
emblem, the jewel, was always disappointing to me at the time. I specifically remember being upset that it wasn't a button already. And then when the 360 came out, of course, they had that concave Xbox button. It was, of course, the most satisfying button to push on that controller. And even so with the Xbox One, I would say that it's still the most satisfying button because it's illuminated, it's right in the middle, it's fun. But just to have this ginormous button in the center of your controller that you just get to push and it lights up, I don't know, it's a very visceral satisfaction for me. I'm very excited about it. Again, like I said, I probably won't actually use it for day-to-day play, but I think I just really like this kind of Xbox nostalgia. I'm very excited for it. So
it is cool. And I'm glad he was able to get enough people to support it, right? Because this is largely crowd pushed, and of course he's done a lot on his own, but, like, if people weren't asking for it, no, this would never have happened. It's that people want this. They think it's cool. They like the nostalgia. I feel like that is a huge primary driving factor to getting this thing manufactured and produced, and for Xbox to sign off on it. They could just as easily just say, like, yeah, come on, look, yeah, it's cute. That's real cute, but we don't want to put any sort of, resources toward that and, make sure it works with everything. Like that's just dumb. I
wonder how much. I don't think it's been released or announced yet, but I'm curious how much it's going to cost. It's certainly not going to be, $40 or I imagine it'll be a little bit of a premium, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. What I would love, which is obviously not going to happen, but what would be amazing is if they came out with like either an Xbox One X or an Xbox One S that had the body of the original Xbox as well. Man, that would be super.
That's so big.
I would love it. I would love it.
Defeats the purpose.
I know it does. It does. I know I'm in the minority for that, but it would just be so much fun to have that, I think.
Well, here, I got to prove. You could have the Xbox One X with an original, the OG Xbox as a carrying case.
Oh, that would actually,
right?
That's actually a really great idea.
I know it is, right? Like, because then, like, literally you could fit the console and, like, two controllers in there, probably within the Xbox, the original Xbox.
Oh, easily. And the only other thing I was thinking of, too, is if you go back and you look at the original prototype of the the original Xbox, it was actually a standing X. I can't think of a better Xbox One X than just a big X. So they should just come out with that. This is basically devolving into Proux's kind of wish list of awesome, ridiculous Xbox ideas, but that would be amazing.
Sounds like a Proulx mare.
Nice.
Speaking of controllers, there's some news that came out in your neck of the woods, Proulx, that the U.S. Navy out in Norfolk, Virginia, has reported that they their Virginia class submarines are going to, so with their periscopes, they're getting rid of the rotating periscopes, that the iconic ones where you hold like the binocular things to your eyes and rotate it that way. That they're replacing all those with cameras, like high resolution cameras and monitors, right? That only makes sense. You're not going to use a physical mirror scenario to use when you have all this high tech technology with you. But there's they have their traditional photonic mast hand grip imaging control panel thing that costs about $38,000 to do that, to make one of those. So that's pretty pricey, and so they've came up with a solution. They're going to use Xbox 360 controllers to control the periscope. And they said, so about $30, USB cord. We're just going to plug it in, and we're going to just use our periscope with my Xbox controller. I hope that's fine. How cool is that? Like, I'm just envisioning all these like Navy, nuclear subs flying around with, you hit the double tap the jewel button and you can, use the periscope. But then you can double tap it again and you can go play Ori and the Blind Forest.
Can you imagine if you got achievements for doing Navy-related activities while you were playing with your Xbox 360 controller, or like you had to log in with an Xbox account? You traveled 7,000 nautical miles today. Achievement unlocked or something.
There you go.
Bleep Bloop started a war with 3 countries.
Yeah. All right. Or like if you jumped on Mixer and you're like, hey, all right, I'm going to dual stream. One stream is going to be the periscope view, and so you can look out in the middle of the ocean. The other one, I'm playing Battleborn. I hope that's cool, right? You interested?
This would actually make way more sense for a Duke scenario, just because that seems way more rugged and kind of appropriate for the military than an Xbox, just a plain vanilla Xbox 360 controller to me. But maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know it was coming out soon. So
I like it. So I mentioned Battleborn on purpose when we just in that last, because I want to bring it up for our community, because I think, and I know Kushmoose shares my viewpoint here, we probably as a group need to start focusing on this game. It was announced today or this week that Gearbox is winding down work on Battleborn. They moved to free-to-play for the multiplayer stuff, and that's not helping it, and so Gearbox is saying that they're moving on. A quote from the creative director Randy Varnell, among other things, says that quote, for the foreseeable future, you can still play. It'll just remain relatively static. So that collection of words fills me with a little bit of consternation. I don't like, certainly when he says remain static, that means they're not doing updates. Fine, but the words foreseeable future scare me. And the fact that, like, if something goes wrong, like, are the resources going to be there to fix it, kind of thing. So I'm starting to think maybe we need to reopen up that Discord chat and maybe start getting a focused group together on this. I mean, they already reduced our achievement requirements, so it really behooves us to work together on this. So take a look in the Discord chat, discord.me/Freamhole. We'll probably open up the Battleborn chat once again. Maybe we can get a group together on this. Do you think we should postpone Borderlands and do this, or do we have to try and add another night? I mean, this is, man, it's tough. It's tough with so many boosting sessions going on. Do we just have Gearbox Sunday and we do Borderlands and Battleborn, and I mean that's all Gearbox. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would like to get Battleborns done as well. I'm not sure of the
what that would look like, what the kind of requirements for that would be, if that's another
the hardest stuff to do specifically is the playing the missions. I mean, because like, despite there being nobody online, like that's fine. Right? Matching up with people and doing the individual challenges for people for your different characters, because then you can do the lore challenges for whoever's unlocked, right? That you don't even need to pay for the game to do that. It's those single player pieces that are going to be the most challenging because A, they're difficult in and of themselves, and B, they take a long time. And it's like playing a Destiny raid, or it's kind of a little less than a raid, bigger than a strike, but you're still looking at an hour or so, maybe 45 minutes to an hour to play through one of those missions that is difficult. Like from an ability standpoint, you might just not have the chops. Like I'm not sure. We'd have to have a real stacked team if we're going to try to get Big L through that. Like it's going to be real tough. So I don't know. I'm hoping, maybe there'll be 6 people who'd be interested. I think that's a raiding party in that game. But
they have
obviously,
the interest for sure.
Agreed. Do you have Chin? Do you have Battleborn on your tag at all?
No, it's multiplayer.
Multiplayer.
That's all multiplayer, right?
It's
So in that regards, then you probably don't play Overwatch either.
I play that on PC, so that I didn't have to touch it on the Xbox. And I've
Fascinating.
got, except for the most recent, the Lucio Ball stuff, I have all the achievements on PC.
Sure. Yeah. Well, especially since those were, quite seasonal. Get those out of the way. It's interesting. So Overwatch actually just came out with an update. They launching a new game mode here for Junkertown. Is kind of a new map to play on. But one thing that was interesting, they're actually using Xbox One's reputation system. We had talked about getting put into server hell and stuff at points in the past, but now what they've also implemented is that if your reputation is terrible, they're disabling your voice chat in the game. Ooh. So, if you've got, people flaming you and dropping and hitting avoid me on you might come in and just not be able to talk to anybody. So there you go. Your reputation gets downgraded. I mean, there's a note here that says Xbox players whose Xbox Live reputation has been downgraded to avoid me will remain in the same matchmaking pool as the other Overwatch players. However, they will no longer be able to use the in-game voice communication. So, kind of nice to not have the hell server, but again, you get that taken away. A lot of stuff, because there's just been so much. Blizzard came out last week and mentioned how development on new content has been so slow because of how toxic the community is, and that they got to do so much to kind of prevent that. We actually got a YouTube comment, and I'm not sure. I don't know who this person is. So if you actually listen to the show, please send me another private message so we can discuss this. But I got a YouTube comment, again, YouTube, that just said, your Destiny 2 clan is toxic. I think there are 6 people in that clan, and I'm not entirely sure any of us have talked to this person.
I think actually I can clarify this for you, Fream.
You left the message, you son.
No, it wasn't me, but it was one of those things where some of the words were supposed to be scratched out, right? So it's your Destiny 2 clan is toxic, and I think your was supposed to be crossed out, and clan. So just Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 is toxic.
Yeah,
well, your is YORE.
Of course.
Oh.
B Smiddle does ask, though, he says, hey, is this Destiny 2 clan ever going to get me some free engrams? I'd even settle for some XP at this point. We got to get working, guys. Our XP clan, if you're out there and interested, we'd love the help. I'm not doing the best I can. UHH came out, so sorry. I'll help you out later, Smiddle. I promise. One of the final piece of news I want to touch on here that I think is probably the most exciting is that so despite we had mentioned last week about Fortnite coming out with battle royale mode that was exciting and fun, and a direct copy of Player Unknown. There was some news out. Actually, I'm reading the True Achievements article here that the devs on PUBG, Blue crap. What the hell's the name of it? How did I forget it already? Bluehole. That they've come out and said, we're not really happy about your direct copying of our game mode and how exactly the same it is. Anyway, that's not the story I want to talk about. The story is that Fortnite, they were playing it, and people were kind of looking at, in the lower corner, some of the names that were popping up on these kills and stuff, and they went to go look up their gamer tag, and they couldn't find them. It was because they, as Xbox players, were trying to look up the gamer tag of a PlayStation player. Epic had accidentally turned on cross-play between Xbox One and PlayStation 4. They flipped the switch, and they said, oops, my bad. So, it happened. People played against each other. Nothing, the world did not end. And so everyone was going around asking, like, hey, what do you guys think? What's going on? And Phil Spencer tweeted, I would have liked to see them leave it on. That would have been nice. Of course, Microsoft would love to be able to open up the world to, PlayStation and crossplay with PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC. Everybody should be able to play with everybody else. Would love that idea. I think that's fantastic. Sony absolutely not wanting to, but we had some talk earlier about Rocket League, the developers of Rocket League, saying like, yeah, no, like honestly, if we get the thumbs up, it'll be ready in a matter of hours. We'll be ready to go. It's like flipping a switch, and people are like, yeah, okay, yeah, that funny. Like I sure it's gonna be easy, but not flipping a switch. It kind of is just flipping a switch.
No, this is amazing because it does actually lay out the fact that it is not a technical issue at all. It wasn't even intended for this to take place. This is not a problem that needs to be solved. It is an unwilling party that doesn't want to participate, and that's it. That's the only problem. That's why we have Minecraft, or we will very shortly, that can participate on several different platforms at once. That's why Rocket League can also do the same thing. It's just Sony being Sony, and because they have the high ground at this point, they just don't want to play with others, and it's really frustrating because it's kind of, I think, it's like it's the last vestiges of like the way things used to be, and we're all moving towards this unified future. It's just like, why do we need to shut this down again? Like you just mentioned in his tweet, why not just leave it on? It didn't. Nobody got hurt. Nothing bad happened. People played together and had fun, and that was it. And that's what we're all here for. So
the problem with it is you got to think of all those little innocent PlayStation children who had to ask their parents why this Xbox guy was crouching on them repeatedly.
God, the Xbox gamers are the worst, aren't they?
Terrible.
Just horrible humans. Yeah, it is crazy that, I think, there are larger implications here in terms of, like any of the like a financial transaction between the two, like if they're, how microtransactions, which account, I guess it's account based, so it wouldn't necessarily matter. Yeah, it's not, there's nothing to it. I'm all for it. I started talking and realized, no, this is pointless. Yep. Just let me play. Just let me play my game.
That's all game based. It depends on the whatever game you're playing. They will work out those details. If you have the ability to interact with other people on different platforms and it's not an issue, then don't make it into one.
Yeah. I did hear talk at one point that there was talk about legal issues. That, like, if something, for instance, was, let's say an Xbox gamer was being harassed by a PlayStation gamer, like, in whose terms of service, I have to think both of them are relatively similar, but legally then who is culpable in a scenario like that of preventing, any sort of those kind of issues from stemming, because it's like, well, no, our gamer is being assaulted and you're allowing it to happen, blah, 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 blah. Right? Okay, lawyer. So is Sony going to blame the lawyers? Because at least then give me a target to point fingers at. But maybe that's the case.
Yeah. Nope. Imagine if you were being harassed by text message or telephone calls from somebody from another carrier. These sorts of things have worked themselves out in plenty of other industries. It doesn't make any sense at this point. And of course, what we mentioned the last time this came up was Nintendo, who is much more protective of their user base
of the children
than Sony
the
is.
Children
has no problem with cross-platform play. So that's an excuse that Sony uses. It's actually not a legitimate reason.
Good. I agree then. Mm-hmm. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, all about business.
Yep. When you're on top, you don't have to share. And that's what's happening right now. They don't have to share, so they're not going to.
Yeah. Delightful. Why don't we move into our feedback section? We got a ton of questions from the community, and I'm going to start with Big L. He asks me a question specifically, but I think we can open it up to Proulx, and if Randy was here, he'd help out. But he says, "Hey, how much more of it is it? Blah 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 blah." Let me try that again. Big L. This is him talking. So that kind of sounded like him, but here we go. How much more of a pain is it to do the live show? The aspect alone of being able to field comments and questions from chat makes it so much more of a breath of fresh air. So, Big L, I don't know from my standpoint how much more difficult it is to do a live show. I love doing them. I also notice that I get sidetracked really easily. So I think my content is better when I can focus on the chat or having a conversation versus looking at the computer screen and seeing what kind of crazy crap's happening in the chat rooms. But I really do like the fact that there's an interaction. I like the fact that my camera is on and I feel like I'm on stage, right? I'm performing. There's adrenaline there. People can react to what I'm doing. I can I can do funny things on camera that you don't hear on the audio, right? Add a little flavor there. And you guys can see how animated I am when I actually talk. That actually is me. I move my hands quite a bit. I emphasize words with my hands and my face, and I emote quite a bit. Much to unlike Discord, where I'll just throw a meme in there every now and again. But I don't like using emojis because I like to do that with my actual actually emote. That's my thing. Proulx, what do you think? How do you feel about the live show?
I would say it's 25% more effort. I don't know.
How so?
That's just a random number. But I would say that I agree with you. It definitely adds a lot. I don't think we would want to replace the standard show with a live show, but I would say maybe making it a semi-regular thing would be okay. Maybe once a month or every month and a half or something like that. That would be totally doable and feasible. Like you say, it does change the flavor of the show in a lot of different ways. That interaction is something that we need to account for. And again, it's tougher to go back and listen to that if you weren't aware that it was a live show or you weren't there or whatever. Because there's a lot of...
Is it though, Proulx? Is it?
Yes, it is.
I mean, you're saying it, but I don't think you actually know.
I do know.
So you did listen. Because I just listened to this week's, and I thought it was a pretty good podcast.
No.
Yes,
I'm not saying
there were moments.
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is if in 1 month or in 6 months, that's going to be a little bit harder to get into than a regular show. Only because there is this element of, this person in the chat says this. And that's... Yeah. Just a little bit. It's not enough to detract from doing it. I just don't think we should do it every week. That's all my point is.
The inside joke quota is much higher on the live show.
Absolutely. So I say keep doing it, but make it semi-regular.
A treat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once every 6 weeks or once every 2 months or however we want to do it. We haven't decided or talked about that at all, but it is encouraging to see how many people really participate and are really excited about it. So we want to both reward those people, but also we don't want anybody to miss out if they can't, because we do this late at night on a Friday. We don't want anybody to miss out on content because they can't be here at a specific time. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too. Yeah, huge thank you to everybody who comes out and spends time in chat, and it becomes like a fun, cool party to see all of the the chat fly by, because I've hosted streams before, and it's like you see the one name pop up, and you're like, oh, cool, there's somebody watching. Oh, wait, that's my personal laptop stream. Yep, I'm sorry. That's
yep.
I'm watching myself play. And it's tough. It's hard, and I know everyone who's tried to stream out there, and when you want to engage, you want to keep anybody that you have, but you also don't want to detract from what you're already doing. And so, thank you so much to everybody who takes the time to show up for the live show. You guys are great. Chin, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? I mean, have you, because this is when we would record what we're recording now for the live show. It's midday for you. I think you were, you're probably working one of the streams. Have you been in chat for a live show? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm more of a lurker. One? So the first one I was in and I watched and lurked and didn't do much, but I missed the second one. I can't remember what I was doing.
Sure. What do you think? So what's your take?
It's a different skill set. It's talking to a podcast, like just in a podcast, as opposed to doing live shows, a completely different skill set, because you got to engage when it's live, but you have to still be able to pay attention to what you're doing, and not everyone can.
Yeah, I'm bad.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
But
it's better, but it's not easy. Do you enjoy the show? Did you enjoy live show?
Yeah.
Oh, your pause hurts me, man.
No, it was good. It was interesting to see the voices that match the face and the talking banana from last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So
and that creepy bear who kept sneaking around?
Yeah, he's always lurking. Well, just to piggyback off Fream's question, how much do you prefer the standard show versus the live show? Is it something that you'd want to see more often, or are you okay with it just being occasionally kind of a thing?
I think monthly is probably the best sort of amount to do it. Keeping it streamlined is I prefer, because there's less sidetrackers, and if I have missed the chat, I can still follow along to the normal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But once a month.
If you disagree with Chin Docta, send him a private message, and
you'll find out
go
where.
Ahead and tear him apart.
Ask for a second opinion. Boom.
Oh.
No, that goes to anybody who's listening here as well. We absolutely value your opinion. So if you do have any comments or things you want to see or or whatever, that's, I know Big L's just giving me crap, but between him and Stushnikin and Saucy, there was a bunch of people who are saying it would be fun to have more guests on the show. And so, hey, here we go. Chin Docta's on the show. And I intend to do that with more of our patrons, to get them on the show and talk with them and continue to reward people who are part of the community and who are engaging in the community. So, we absolutely appreciate everybody who takes their time and spends time with us on Discord and gaming sessions and, the boosting groups. And above all, everybody who opens their wallet and decides to throw a few bucks our way. And to some people, it's more than a few bucks, which is amazing. So, everybody, you guys, you're just, it's an awesome community. That's why we do this show. It's so much fun. So Big L, there are more coming, and we'll do our best to get on some sort of a more consistent schedule. We're still trying to project out and identify which weeks everybody's going to be where and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's a semi work in progress, but we'll get there. What we are also getting super close to, Rocker Dude says, hey, Freamhole, you're on episode 93, getting pretty close to episode 100. You got anything exciting planned? I almost think 100 has to be a live show, I feel.
Yeah.
We should make a party out of it. I'll wear a party hat and get a balloon maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe show my boobs. No, probably won't do that.
Both of them? You think? That would be real. That'd be quite the treat, I think.
That'd be exciting, tassels and all. No, I don't know. To be honest, Rocker, I have not actually considered. I mean, we probably should. Now, when we say something big, like we're not getting Phil Spencer on. Like he's not coming on for our 100th show. We're not probably pulling in, anybody worth our time. But yeah, we'll do something, right? We'll key off on that milestone. That is a cool podcast number to hit. Proulx, do you have anything you want to do for 100, or you want to keep it a secret, or what do you like to see?
I'm actually just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's gonna put us right at the end of October.
Oh, so we're gonna dress up like Halloween then,
or the beginning of November. I may have miscounted, plus not really counting this one. It's going to be right at that time period. So, I think a live show is a great idea, especially for that milestone. And then what I would love to see, as a fan of the show, is as many people as possible that have been involved in the show. There, I would love to see, everybody that's, not everybody, but people that have guessed it, or people. Obviously, the community will be welcome. Maybe we can put something together where everybody talks about what they like, or what they want to see in the future. Again, we haven't talked about this. This is just right off the top of my head, but
yeah,
I like that. I definitely think that a live show is a good time for celebration there, and have everybody, as many people as possible, show up there, and that'd be a good time.
Agreed. Chin, you got anything that you like to see in your live show, or a 100th, an anniversary show?
I mean,
we're willing to take some suggestions.
It'd make a longer podcast, which I think is fine for 100, but I'd love to see a return of your game show with maybe patrons as contestants.
Ooh,
oh yeah,
that's not a bad idea. Yeah, mm-hmm.
Could do that. We could make a party out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was fun. I have a list of games started, but I haven't pulled the achievements from them, but I pulled some random lists and how to do it. But yeah, it's a matter of doing that. We could probably do something like that. We can I was even thinking because when we were doing when I was on Kronos' stream and we were doing Interpol, and to see the fact that Fug could and Facial LaFleur could type in where the things were as we were looking at them, they could find things faster than we could, was remarkable. And so it leads me to think you could actually have live game shows on Mixer where people can, I could say a question into the camera, and whoever types it first in the chat box, I'm sure there's still lag and all that crap in people's computers and stuff, but you could almost do that, have a polling question. People could, hey, here's four answers, right, and set up a poll. And do live questions like that, and even make a game show that way. And I don't know.
Man, that makes me think. And I don't think we could do this for the actual show, obviously. But if we wanted to turn it into a bigger thing and have multiple, we could have the show and other things. I was just thinking all that Jackbox stuff where you can have crowd play.
Yep.
We could definitely do something fun with that. We could easily incorporate a lot of people into that sort of fun. Just spitballing at this point, but that might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. We'll figure it out. Crunchflake asks, question for the show: how do you guys explain your passion for achievements to the non-achievement gamers? Do they understand what are the responses to your gamer score and your completion stuff? It says, oftentimes I find it hard to convey what's so great about achievements. One quick answer from the community. I wish you had a few people, because Fug says I'm not a host, but for me, it's not the achievements really, but the achievement metagame that TA fosters that he enjoys. And before he found TA, while looking for help on a game, achievements were just kind of more of a, hey, that's cool, I got one. But then when you actually have a site to go to and join into a community and people of like-mindedness who are there, because Big L says, yeah, seeing them immediately on TA is super fun. That's a lot of the fun that helps. So Crunchflake responds saying that it's that metagame is cool for him as well, and he likes to set up a plan of attack when you're going for those achievements. That's kind of part of the fun, is to come up with a strategy in your head And then, of course, when you complete games, right, having every single thing done is a huge reward for him. Finally, Stu says that when he tries to talk about others in their, explain his excitement for achievements, he just says, well, I just try to bully them into thinking my way, and I hit them with a random blunt object that's nearby. So a Duke controller, maybe, or a Louisville Slugger, or maybe just even a pillow, a pug, maybe. Anyway, so what do you guys do? How do you explain your passion, Chin?
God, it's got to be the hardest thing to do as an achievement hunter, surely. Trying to explain why we want to do this stuff. I tend to try not to. I just say, yeah, no, I just play games. I play lots of different games because I like playing lots of different things.
Yeah, that's not. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I agree. I avoid that conversation. There's been plenty of times with close friends that they're like, "Why are you doing that? Like, why are you playing that game for the 4th time in a row?" And I'm like, I'll try with them, but with certainly not with family. Family doesn't care. And anybody other than a very, very close friend, because my close friends at this point, no, they don't get it, but they know, I go for achievements. So right. I don't need to explain it very often. If you're not super close to me, then I just say, oh yeah, like Chin just said, I just play games. And I go for whatever. Yeah, I don't have to sit down and explain people. It doesn't happen very frequently. Occasionally when I make a new friend, which is never. No, I'm kidding. But then you kind of get into it. But it's a conversation that doesn't seem to happen very frequently. It's you just say, hey, I play games. I'd like to get this score, and that's it. I don't need to get into it unless somebody is maybe on the cusp of doing it themselves, or they seem interested, or something like that. It's not a very it's not a conversation I have very often, for sure.
Does Tammy know you achievement hunt?
Oh yes, she definitely knows. And in fact, she helps me a lot. We play. I mentioned on the podcast before. We play Telltale games together. I let her pick whatever the dialogue option is going to be, and then we just kind of go with it, which is a lot of fun. And then, of course, there's some other games that we play together. Yeah, of course, she knows. Again, I explained it to her. I only had to explain it to her once, and then she understood. But, yeah, that's why it's not a conversation that I have a lot. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, because that's a follow-up question I have from Philip Wendell. He says, do all of your family, friends, and work acquaintances know about your achievement hunting hobby? Or is that something that you don't really disclose to everybody? So Tammy knows. What about the rest of you? You said your family and friends, Proulx? They're all on board? They understand? They know?
Proulx knows, for sure.
Yep.
The close-knit group that I have with them, with him and our other friends know as well. My family has no idea. Absolutely no idea. So they wouldn't care. Why would I bother telling them? It's just not anything that would even come across in any sort of normal conversation. They know I play video games, certainly, but if I said to them, "Hey, I could tell them I earn achievements and I go for Gamerscore," I could also tell them that I earn, Kerfloppleplop, and it would mean the same exact thing to them. So I don't bother to have those conversations.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't. To me, it depends on the relationship. But yeah, I don't. My family certainly doesn't know.
Yeah, I gotcha. What about you, Chin? Do you disclose to your friends, family, work acquaintances? Are they a close group?
My girlfriend knows and gets it. My parents know, they don't get it. My gaming friends understand. My other friends don't. And they don't know. It's just easier to keep them separate.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. Like, everybody in my life knows that I'm a fan of video games. And even now, like, my son has been telling people, like, oh, yeah, my dad goes for achievements. Like, so he understands it. And actually, he started to get the bug a little bit. He's been playing, like, he'd play Never Alone. And he likes to switch over to his tag now. Or, like, when he's playing Minecraft. And he doesn't want to play creative mode anymore because you can't earn achievements in creative mode. And he likes survival better.
Getting
Yeah, and so like, right? So it's like, I had mentioned, it's like, oh yeah, I have, I'm doing a new contest, and I have 3 Rocket League achievements that I need to work on. He goes, oh man, can I help you with those? Well, okay. No, you can't, but but so like, he's starting to get it, and he understands the appeal of them. I think that's, probably the easiest way to explain to somebody about why I enjoy them so much, is that it's like, because I'm putting in effort into my hobby, and it is rewarding me with notices like, hey, I see what you did there, good job. Because I was just mentioning to my wife, like, with the amount of time I put into work this month, I was like, I think I deserve we have like a game ball, like a employee of the month thing. Like, I feel like I really went above and beyond this month, like way more than I ever have. Like, I feel like I am doing a ton more at work, and I'm gonna get ignored like normal because no one's gonna give a crap. And it's like, well, that's not fun. Like, when October 1st comes around and I see that some clown in marketing or something got it, and it's like, what the hell did they do? That's like their job. They mopped up a bathroom better than whatever.
What are your marketing people doing, Fream?
I don't know.
Your custodial staff.
I'm just spitballing. I'm trying not to throw any like individual under the bus, but like I said, so like, I feel like I'm putting in a ton of effort, and I'm not going to get any internal reward for it. Like, it's going to be, yeah, well, I know how hard I worked. Yeah, well, I also didn't get to play video games on Wednesday because I was working so hard. Like, that pisses me off. But when I do play games, and I know, okay, if I beat this level, like, I'm going to get an achievement. And so, hey, look at that. A sense of finality. I beat the level. I got the achievement. I feel really good. I'm in a competition, the UHH. Hey, it feels good to earn, watch my score go up. I'm up 4-0. Is that enough? Probably not. So, what else should I get here in the weekend? Like, those are fun things. Now, when it comes to telling people, like, I've mentioned to my customers this week, like, they know I don't get a lot of sleep, and they know that I'm a fan of video games. I've mentioned my podcast. Even this one woman, she was like, I mentioned, I feel bad about saying things that I do each week, because she's like, how do you even get anything done? It's like, well, I go to the gym. I'm an instructor at the gym. I'm a coach to all the 10-weekers at the gym. I coach my son's baseball team 2 days a week. Obviously, I have to work. My daughter has soccer, so I got to go to soccer practice and games on the weekends. We've got to go to church, and then I game every night. And I got to record a podcast on Fridays. I do have a wife. Sometimes I see her. It's like, you add up all these things, and it's like, yeah, I literally have no time to sit down and just enjoy. I have not been bored in years. That was always you remember as a kid, when, I'm so bored, there's nothing to do, and I would love to be bored again. Like, to have moments where it's like, I literally have nothing I can or want, or, like, I don't think it's possible anymore. Do you guys think it's even possible to be bored anymore with, like, the backlog of video games we have? And, like, I don't know. I don't think it is. What do you think, Proulx?
Well,
can you be bored?
I could, if there was no internet or games to play in any location for an hour. I'd probably get bored very, very quickly. What I was actually just thinking when you were telling your story, Fream, about your son, was, when would I have wanted achievements to come into my life? Like, if we're revising history at this point, but if I grew up when I did, and when would I have started naturally caring about achievements if they were always a part of video games? Would I have gone for 100 Goomba deaths in Mario, in Super Mario Brothers, if that was a thing at the time? Maybe I wouldn't have cared because I would have been too young. Maybe it wouldn't have been until Super Mario 64 that I would have cared. Maybe it wouldn't have been until Halo on the Xbox. Maybe it wouldn't have been until Halo 2 or whatever. Like, yeah, it's interesting to think, like, it kind of came along at a perfect time in my life. And I imagine that's probably the case for a lot of people.
I could see it.
I'm just it's, and of course after achievements that's shaped my entire gaming life, but would I have cared if they were available when I was a kid? I don't know. I'd never thought about that. It was just really interesting to hear, your son like kind of interested in it, but maybe not obviously not as much as we are.
Right.
It's something that I'll have to give some thought to, because I think that's
sure.
It's an interesting idea.
What do you think, Chin Doctor?
I mean, have you played some of the games I've played? You can definitely get bored.
That's true. That is true. There's some pretty dreadful titles on that list.
Some of the stuff I played this week was mind-numbing, but no, it's tough. I don't think bored is not the right word for it. I think more disinterested. Like,
sure,
you're doing something, but you just are not caring. I think that's very easy to get, but having nothing to do, I don't think it's going to happen for anyone with a console or anything that can play games for a while.
Yeah, I suppose. So yeah, I think, I try to answer the best I can on just telling friends and family and things. They know I game. I tend to leave the achievement part of it out of it. And I think the hardest thing is like, so what games do you play? Like, I don't even think it feels like bragging, but it's like when you just say, well, I have like 700 games that I own, so I kind of play everything. And like, 700 is a lot of games, but it's not even crazy in the circles that we run in. Like, that's not an obscene amount of games, especially with how much free stuff comes out all the time. And to just, so I think people hear that and they're like, well, you clearly don't play all that. And it's like, well, no. I've played like 400 of them. That's like, that's not crazy, right?
Only 400?
Yeah, I think that I should actually look that up before I don't think. Oh, never mind, 500. 479 is on my list right now. But it's. I don't know. I tend to leave the achievement part of it out of it because I feel like it. Even like my buddy, who he's starting to get into Xbox, and we went to my friend's cabin, and he's like, hey, why don't you bring a controller or two up, so we can get some multiplayer stuff going. I'm like, well, yeah, I got five controllers, so I can bring up a bunch of them. Yeah, maybe even get 2 Xboxes going. Like, I should introduce you to Rocket League, like as a crew. Like, I think you would really enjoy that. Or, it's just a dumb couch co-op game like Dad Beat Dads or something. Like, just reclaim some of that old couch co-op nostalgia with buddies. And it's just nice to have like this big list of titles because you never know. Like, I would not have said for Never Alone like that my son would really enjoy that, but I feel good about it because it's a fun platformer and it's educational. So like, and he would enjoy it, and he is. I could play another game and it's like what was the one you're doing, Chin? Verse Valor. Yeah. Or whatever.
God.
It's like I could play that and I would say, oh God, no, nobody should play this. Like, this is bad. But, let me curate my list for you, boy. Don't play this game.
Yeah.
So anyway, interesting. Good question, Philip Wendell and Crunchflake. Little more mainstream here. T-Virus Tyrant asks, his goal is to hit 400,000 by the end of the year, and he's sitting right now at essentially 375, and he thinks he will hit it. Do you guys have any goals for the year, and are you close to or have surpassed them? Chin Doctor, did you set up any 2017 goals that you had in mind, or any goals between now and the end of the year that you've kind of created as the year went on?
Yeah, so at the start of the year, I wanted to do 200,000 Gamerscore for this year. I'm sitting at about 150 for the year, and so I'm a little bit ahead of the time schedule. And I also wanted to get to 1,000 games started, which would have been about 600 for the year to play. And I think I've got 100 120 or so left before I reach that.
Sure.
So I'm on track.
Wow. Nice. What about you, Proulx? How are you doing on your goals and stuff?
So I had 3, essentially. One was a bit of a stretch goal. I had, I wanted to hit 70% completion percentage so that I could switch my default from, from wherever the default was on TA to include all DLC, which I did. I've done that already, so I'm good there. My second goal was to hit 250K, and I'm at just about 241, so I'll definitely hit that by the end of the year. And the third goal, which was my stretch goal, I talked about this last week a little bit, was get as much Halo stuff done as I could, and I'm on track. I'm doing really well. I finished Halo 3 ODST Reach at this point now. I assume I'll be done with 4 and on to other games at that point by the time the year is out. So I'm very, very happy with my progress this year.
Nice. Good for you. I had mentioned on multiple shows, I have 10 things that I like to do each. I like to create a list of 10 gaming and 10 non-gaming goals, but I'll stick to the 3 primary goals and a new one that I created. My true achievement score for the year, I wanted to hit 300,000. Well, I hit that last week. So, made that one. That was an increase of 53,000 TA for the year, which is a high water mark for me typically in an average year. So I am well ahead of that pace. And in my total achievement count, I usually hit about 1,000 a year, and I'm well above pace. I need 7,500, and I'm at 7,400. So I'm less than 100 achievements away from that one, with 3 months left to go there. And then my Gamerscore goal. My Gamerscore goal was an increase of 57,000. So that's more than my TA goal, which, they're harder to get, and that I don't, that's pretty high scoring for me. And I'm a little behind on that one. So I'm at 177. So I'm about 23,000 Gamerscore away, which is 60% of the way. And of course, as of recording, we're at about 72% through the year. So I'm not sure. I mean, I could get that pretty easily if I just, I have a plethora of, 2-hour completions, 1,000 Gamerscore. So I could rip through that quick if I really wanted to. But the idea was that I wasn't going to change my gaming that dramatically. The one goal that I added mid-year, and it's just kind of on a whim. I think it coincided with my getting to the top 100 in Minnesota for Gamerscore. And I think once I achieved that, I was like, I like those rank ones. And I set this one up with no end date. I just wanted to get to this point. And that was to be in the top 10,000 on True Achievements. And when I started, I was 12,834, and I am currently 11,719. So I have gained 40% of the way toward achieving that goal. So I'm outpacing my colleagues to get to the top 10,000 by at least 40% of that amount. So I'm kind of happy with that. It's fun to, see that. Despite as much as I talk about not playing that many games, I'm actually putting up enough points to, catch up on some people. So there you have that. The leaderboard thing. So I wanted to get in the top 100 in Minnesota. That happened in the last day of May, and I am currently number 71 in Minnesota. So maybe I set a top 50, a long-term goal of top 50. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, cool. Well, so there we have it. Those are nice job, T-Virus Tyrant. I'll leave Marky B. Hoy's question for next week after we get one week of the UHH under our belt, and I'll come back to your question. So this leads me to Dylan XBA's question, because this is very much akin to or ties directly into the leapfrog that's going on. What do you guys think about quote unquote buying achievements? For example, paying hundreds of dollars for the choreography achievement in War Planet Online Global Conquest, like a lot of people did. He says, I don't mind paying a few dollars to help get like a DLC weapon that maybe makes the game a little bit easier, but outright paying for an achievement that you will get over time is ridiculous. So what do you think? Do you guys share Dylan XBA's perspective on buying achievements? Where do you draw the line? Chin, what do you think?
I mean, I've done it with that Touchdown Hero game where you buy the uniforms. Yeah,
I did that too.
That
was $2, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I suppose Australian it'd be like 40,
20
right?
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
All it really comes down to is whether you value your time more than your money. If you only care about the achievements in a game and you're, however much it's going to buy, $20 or whatever to get all the achievements, if that's worth less to you than the 80 hours it would have taken you to get it, then I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. Proulx, let's get your perspective. What do you think?
It's like a sliding scale. It depends. It depends on the achievement, on the money. I don't mind. Like I did the Touchdown Heroes thing or whatever as well, and that counted for 2 different games, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was the Windows 8 and the Windows Phone version. It depends. Like if I could, I don't know. I don't want it to be the norm. But if there are occasional times when I can put $1 or $2 in just to make things a little bit easier for myself, yeah, I'm not gonna complain too much about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, there are a few things that like here's like a non-achievement example. Pokemon Go, right? I have been playing that for like a year now, and it's been annoying that I don't walk enough to like hatch eggs because I only used the one. I never bought another incubator. And so I'm like, you know what? Like I've had so much fun with this game, and it's really fun when you finally do walk enough, because I walk the dog every morning, and so it's slow progress, but it's really fun to open those eggs. And it's that little lottery thing. Maybe I'll get a Pokemon I don't have. Maybe I'll get some candy I need. And so, I threw a couple bucks finally at Pokemon Go. I think I gave him $5 for some coins so I could buy a couple of incubators.
Yay!
And and it's like, you guys have given me enough entertainment over the past year and a few months. Like, I certainly don't think $5 is obscene. Granted, that it's a slippery slope, right? If you enjoy that a little bit, and then maybe you'll enjoy a little bit more, then maybe you'll enjoy a little bit more, but. That has enhanced my enjoyment of the game because it opens up new things or allows me to get other things. So let's say, like for Battleborn, right? And it's free to play. Maybe I enjoy the characters and I think it's fun. But I'd like to play the single player mode. And so, I'll give Gearbox $10 or $15 or whatever to buy the disc copy, so that I can play that. So, in terms of just outright buying achievement, let's say for Leapfrog, right? If I was, a couple achievements short, and there's a DLC pack I know is hitting that day, and so it's like paying, $10 to get that high TA right away. Okay, that might not be worth it. That might be drawing the line there of just really doing it for competitions, and okay, are you really winning fairly if you just happen to spend more money than someone else? That starts to get a little gross. And I'm kind of with Dylan XBA on that one. Just outright paying so that you can complete a game quickly, I think you should play and enjoy the game, but I also don't like rewarding companies that purposely put in mechanics that stop your progress or that make your progress unreasonably long. You should be rewarded for your time and compensated. It doesn't even have to be fairly, but you have to at least be compensated in some way to want to open up your wallet and pay for, content that they offer. So, yeah, anyway. There we go. Let's move on to, I think we got 2 questions left. Kilgore21 says, hey, would you like Minecraft to run a website in the vein of True Achievements? Microsoft to run a website in the vein of True Achievements. And do you think that would make achievement hunting more mainstream? If, let's just say Microsoft bought True Achievements. And, so Microsoft presents True Achievements. They essentially kept everything about True Achievements, but rebranded it to some Microsoft brand. What do you think that would do to our achievement hunting community? Or even the site functionality as a whole? Do you think it'll ruin it? What do you think, Chin Doctor?
I mean, you put more money into something, it'll be better generally, like with something like this, but I can't see the growth rate increasing. Like, the people that are going to look up the website to find out about achievements are the people that were always going to do that. I don't think you're, like with the rare achievements, I don't think you're enticing more people to care about achievements by doing this.
I mostly agree with that sentiment. I do think, it's interesting to hear, I guess, more mainstream, I was going to call them normies, more mainstream people to, like, think about rare achievements, or like, oh yeah, I got the rare achievement toast. Like, that was exciting. That was kind of fun. Like, maybe if you're not immersed in it and don't realize all the flaws that are in that system, that you would be like, oh, cool. I got a rare achievement. Those are kind of fun to get. Maybe I'll get another one. But I certainly think that the percentage is so low that to even possibly capture somebody like that, because anyone who is even cursory interested in achievements is already in this community. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't heard of it. What do you think, Proulx?
Yeah, I don't see any benefit to that. In fact, I would argue that TA, it's not like
it's too mainstream. Is that what you're going to say?
No, not at all. I would say that TA kind of represents a nice, neat boundary between hardcore people and more casual players. Not to say that it's obviously anybody can get on TA. It's not hard to do that.
Right.
But it's, that if somebody's on TA, that they really do care, and they're really going for those kinds of things.
That's not even necessarily true anymore, though, with how big TA is.
I
would consider TA to be pretty mainstream, and I think there's a lot of gamer tags on there that don't really give a crap about it. For sure. But how much would those gamer tags increase if they were Microsoft? If presumably, if Microsoft owned them, everybody would have that account.
Oh, God forbid.
There are benefits, of course, and there are detractions, but I like the fact that TA is separate from Microsoft. I like that they can do, because they're going to go way more in depth. They're going to provide these things like UHH that Microsoft would never do. Never, ever, ever, ever do these kinds of things. Like, let's just say that they did buy TA. We would never see these community events. I shouldn't say never. These community events would be much less likely to happen, and this is a community-driven. Wow, this sounds super redundant.
Site?
Community. It's a community-driven site, yes, but it is based on what the people want here, and
right.
I love it for that. I love TA for that, and I don't think that being bought by Microsoft or owned by Microsoft would do it any favors at all. I don't know, other than increased awareness and maybe increased user count, it would really benefit in any way. And I like that the fact that TA is already, by default, the top of the top. And then, of course, you're fighting for every every level of yourself at that point. You want to be, like you mentioned, Freem, on leaderboards. I want to be number one in this region under this genre. I want to be in the top 10,000. I want to be, you know what I mean? It's so much more satisfying when it takes some effort to get there in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I've even had conversations, like, I recall a conversation I had with Matriarch about, like, I would consider TA to be quite mainstream. And that when, certainly when she was on, but even when I started and how small the community was relative to what it is now, that it was so much more intimate. And you knew a lot of those people in there. And now it has grown to the point where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's got the functionality I want, but is that a community that I really want to get behind? Like, I've pretty much stopped doing boosting sessions because I don't really want to deal with those people, like, just to coordinate with randoms and not trusting anybody and just trying to figure that stuff out. And it's like, that's why I really love the Z to Z community because, there's a couple hundred of us floating around, but, like, it's a much smaller community. It's people who they're getting along fine. We like to joke around and have a good time, and people are willing to help each other in a quick LFG or a quick boost, just to somebody get an achievement for some random contest or something. That the type of small community we're fostering lends itself to feeling more like you're part of a community. Like, if I look at my town, right, I feel like I'm a member of my town, okay? And then my town is part of the city. Okay, well, do I feel like I'm a real integral member of my city? Well, no, it's getting bigger, and I become more anonymous as you get bigger. Okay, now take the whole state of Minnesota, right? Even more anonymous. And so you're less likely to develop that level of friendship that you want or that level of camaraderie as the site gets bigger. So if Microsoft bought it, or made a site that was like it and became more mainstream, I'm not even sure that's a good thing. Like, yes, you're right, like, Proulx, exactly what you said about more money, more focus, better interfaces, whatever. Resources would go into it, but would I like the output? Would I enjoy that community aspect of it when it's really just diluting me out in a pool? I mean, even now, like, as... Take the readings on, or, like, the Gamerscore leaderboards on my friends list and stuff, like, and they're trying to integrate some of that. It was like, yeah, but it's not really. I don't really feel like I'm part of the entire Xbox community. Like, I look at the Discord, the Xbox Discord chat, and if Mike Ybarra shows up there, right, Xbox Quick gets in there and is like, hey, how's everyone doing? And then it's like 60 people. Hey, yo, how you doing, Quick? Oh, what's going on? Yeah, good stream. Do the, and they're just this big old rattling, prattling, rambling dissertation of text of just 600 people just saying stupid things. Like, I don't want to sit in a chat like that. Like, I'd like that we have, jokes and memes and GIFs and, poking fun at each other and asking serious questions and having really good discussions and talking about video games, like all the things that the Z as a community has done, and certainly in my my Discord chat, like those are just wonderful. And again, not sure that more people would make that better per se. I'd like more, some new people. We actually have some new people in the Discord chat now. I mean, we just had a couple new signups, and they started talking. I should look some of them up, but before I do that, Reset42, last question. He says, hey, controller batteries going flat at the worst possible time. Share your stories, please. Do you guys have any stories about when, you've been playing a game and your controller goes out?
I've got nothing. I'm wired constantly.
Just you don't even bother.
Yeah, the only thing that sticks out in my mind is multiplayer stuff. It only is a problem when I'm going up for an aerial in Rocket League, which I do all the time, and
right.
And then it dies. It's never a problem in single player because then it pauses and you're fine. But it's when you're playing with other people that it becomes an issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can think of a very specific instance where this has happened, and because it happens all the time, is when we're boosting on 360 and party chatting on the 1, and I forget to plug in my 1, and so you're trying to coordinate something, like, okay, here, I'm ready, and then you realize I've been talking into nothing, a dead mic for 5 minutes or so, because the controller idles out. And that has happened a ton of times. I do recall one battery outage in a Destiny raid, but thankfully we were just sitting around waiting to start a boss battle, so it didn't actually impact how it was going. But I had to quick, find some batteries and plug in before we had to start up that mission. So, I found the person I was looking for, Kahuna28, new member to the Discord family. So, thanks for stopping by, Kahuna. I hope you listen to the show. I hope you enjoy the part of the show. And
don't worry about Big L. Big L, he does that to everyone.
Yep, he does that to everyone. Absolutely. So I think that's about it for the show. I'm not now, Chin. You are part of the GI team at True Achievements, and so you had said, hey, are there any knobs and discos out there? Do you have any news for us? Any new knobs and discos we should cover?
There's not going to be a comprehensive list of what's happened, but I don't know if it was mentioned last week with Path of Exile, but a bunch of that stuff's unobtainable, but should be getting fixed in a patch coming soon. I know it's all fixed on the PC, I think. A bunch of stuff has been dropped in FIFA 12 because the servers have gone down, good old EA servers. So there's a ton of things that are discontinued. Quick count is about 15 to 20 by the looks of it.
Okay.
Barja, the Edge of Control HD, which is Xbox One remake, has 3 unobtainables for finishing first in 5 invitational races, driving 1,000 miles in all vehicles, and driving 2,000 miles in all vehicles. So that's unobtainable for now. In Minecraft Story Mode Season 2 on the Windows 10, completing Chapter 3 of Episode 3 is unobtainable. In 8 Days, which is a twin-stick shooter, the achievement for beating the campaign with both characters is discontinued, sorry.
Discontinued, that's weird.
Yeah, there's some glitch that's happened and the devs don't have the dev kit anymore, so they can't fix it. The tracker just stops at 50% once you've done it with one person.
Huh.
And one piece of good news, though. Bit Dungeon Plus, the Black Warrior achievement for collecting all black elements, is no longer unobtainable.
Huzzah! That's fantastic.
Bit of good news after all that doom and gloom. Felt like Randy for a minute.
I don't really have any zombie news, but I did just find something recently that so you guys familiar with the game Metal Gear Survive, the essentially zombie game that Konami is coming out with, stealing all of the assets from their own Metal Gear Solid 5 and just putting this ridiculous premise to it and just punching it out and slapping the Metal Gear name on it. Well, so everyone panned it for just sounding dumb and stupid and why would you spend any time on that? Well, I'm reading from Game Informer here. Kimberly Wallace wrote this, saying the zombie spinoff is more fun than I expected. So she was at Tokyo Game Show and got to play a co-op mission where there were 3 other people, and their mission, they had to protect essentially horde mode. They had to protect a generator from a wave of zombies, and she ended up saying, she's like, okay, it was actually pretty damn fun, being able to set your traps and killing dudes and doing that kind of stuff. And she said she loved the chaos and the strategy of it all. 1 minute you're prepping by thinking ahead, and the next the horde is overflowing that area, forcing you to think on your feet and use what you have at your disposal. Who knows what this is going to look like when it finally does come out, but she mentions that it's a lot more enjoyable than she was expecting, and provided her with that rush I get when I play games like Left 4 Dead or Mass Effect's multiplayer. So maybe there's promise for this game. After all, it's supposed to come out in early 2018 on all consoles and PC. So here we go, guys. Metal Gear Survive might not be terrible. They still have plenty of time to wreck it, but I'm just throwing that out there. And I think that will do it for the show. I know Damien hates it when I close out the show and then just kick it to him to finish it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Z.
All right, so back on Review Z. Thanks for that intro, guys. So I'm joined with my regular co-host, Warren.
Howdy.
Howdy. And this week we are covering Jump Step Step, or Jump Step. No, Jump Step Step. It's a programming game by it's published by Thundercloud Studio, and developer is, I'm going to probably butcher this, Thang Pung Din. So, and actually the dev, he's an independent, obviously, developer. I think he is actually the owner of the publishing arm too. Through a little bit of web research, he actually worked on some other larger AAA titles, and this was his little project. So, I guess premise of the story is you are a robot, a partially assembled robot when you start.
Well, I think you were fully assembled originally.
Yeah.
Things just went south.
Yeah, exactly. You crash, and you have to go find all your parts and get off of this planet or wherever you crashed. And yeah, I guess that is the story, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just about it. Especially once you beat it, you realize that the story is quite cyclical.
Yeah, cyclical. Yeah.
However
either
you
way.
say that.
Yeah. So it's a puzzle game. What this really, it's a puzzle. I would almost say it's an introduction to programming game.
It does have elements of like Project Spark or Roblox or that kind of stuff to it, where the way you got to build out the commands.
Yeah. So I guess the best way to explain it, so you crash and you will be given a short objective in front of you. Like you're starting at position X and it's a, what's the isometric? It's an isometric kind of platform grid, and you have to get from where you are to wherever the next objective is. And when you first start off, all your real movements are you can turn left, you can turn right, and you can go forward a square, or you can jump a square. And so you have to do it. You get from one point to the other. I don't think it's really possible to die on the first part, but as obviously you go along, there's obstacles and things in your way that can cause you to die, because there is an achievement for completing one run of the game without dying. So death is...
I gotta add, it's frustrating. I'm still not really sure why I can't unlock it. I have played the game 3 times, and to my knowledge, not died at least 2 of those runs. So... beware.
Maybe it's an uninstall, reinstall. So with that, well, as you said, so you've played through the game 3 times, and that is where this game is. I think what I liked about it was a little different in terms of the puzzle. It was clever. It was fairly easy to pick up. I didn't like some of really all you're doing is inputting commands. So some of it, I don't know if you would say, I guess it's as intuitive as you could get for given what you were doing. I don't know if you could have really made the controls any more simple, but I guess there was at times I was deleting stuff where I wouldn't want to, or I was like, oh, am I going to delete?
Well, yes, you could have actually made the controls a lot better. You could have made it so that the cursor only highlights the blocks that you could enter commands in, as opposed to wandering all over the screen.
Yeah. But, I mean, could you input the commands, and you did? I guess the thing is you didn't have to run your program for lack of a better term, until you were done inputting it. So at least you had that, like, you didn't necessarily have to enter a bad thing, but yeah, sometimes it was a little, wait, where am I on my code? Wait, did I delete that right? So there was a little bit of rework. If you were solving the puzzles for the first time without using a guide. However, you can be done this game even without a guide in, 2 hours?
My first playthrough took me a little over like an hour and a half, and I totally did not manage to do like the final boss properly. Yeah, so I had to pop that achievement. There's a missable for doing an action later on in the game, at the end of the game. But yeah, suffice to say, I had to do that on a second playthrough with a guide, but it's not something you'd get just figuring it out yourself, more than likely. Yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of rewarding in the sense of once you do figure out what you're doing, it's like, yes, cool, all right, next puzzle. But is it really worth like me playing it 3 times now? No, I'm gonna have to play it a 4th time, and I'm really not psyched.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing. The puzzle doesn't change. So that your third run through to your 4th to your 5th, it is the exact. So once you have, in essence, the most optimal list of commands to get through each puzzle, it's just a matter of how quickly can you input the commands and press run.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's also a couple times where it looks like some people got lucky. If you look at the leaderboard, it tells you how many moves were used to complete the level. Especially with, again, that final boss level. It looks like some people kind of took one of the 2 options you can use and just ran it probably 100 times until luck ran their way.
I could see them running, not to say we condone any of these things, but could have wrote a program in Cronus to just keep running their script.
You are right. Yeah, it would not take much effort to write a Cronus script to play this game. Although it would take a lot more time to write the Cronus script than it would be for you to read the guide to play this game. I would not recommend making a Cronus script for this game.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to go on those puzzles where it's like, oh, I'm just going to run the half script and I'm just going to re-execute it over and over again and just walk away until it executes.
You could do that. You could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's, I bet you. So to really optimally write it, you write a program in Cronus to run the program in this game to get the leaderboard achievement.
No. What you need to do is use Project Spark somehow to run this. If you can pull that off, then I'll give you credit and a gold star.
Okay. Oh, for those that do care, G-Task hot take, is this preloadable?
Preloadable. There's a few achievements that are juicy that you could skip if you wanted, most notably the one I keep kind of touching on at the end of the game. That's totally passable if you don't want. For that matter, the final objective, which is a nice juicy 150G. You can just skip that and finish it off later. You can probably preload a decent 500-600 points out of this if you wanted to.
I think really this is another one of the, if you just didn't care about doing the puzzles on your own, just have this game purchased, and if you ran the script, if you just basically look at the solutions, you could finish this entire game and pretty much full 100G. We'll say the 200 outside of the one that you have to keep rerunning Warring, assuming that you don't die on your first run because you have all of the answers and it doesn't glitch on you. You can at least score 800 points in under an hour.
Yes, easily.
Yeah. So I guess the preloading on this is just buy it. It's only $8.
But that's the point of preloading. Is you can play it and leave it and wander back later. So if you want to get the story per se out of the picture and just grab that missable stuff, you can do it.
Yeah. So I guess the big question for our audience is it worth $8 for an hour of a puzzle game? Maybe 2 if you don't cheat.
As much as it pains me to say, no. I actually liked the game. Overall, it was fun. I had a blast playing it, like the legit playthrough I did, but for what you get here, this is equivalent to like a Q-Bot or an Energy Cycle. If it's not $3, it's probably not really recommendable.
Yeah, I will say I like this more than Energy Cycle. I thought more time and at least
more effort
thought was put in. Yeah, it did. But again, it's just there's not a lot of puzzles and there's no the replayability, once you know the solutions, is somewhat lost. So, I mean, you could always keep going in there and trying to best the high scores, but if you figured out the high score, that's, and again, it's short. I mean, well done for what it is, $8. It's not breaking the bank for 1000 G, but yeah, for an hour or two of gameplay.
Well, I guess if you look at it like this, what the ACA Neo Geo titles cost? $8. They're all about an hour to 2 hours in length. I guess the difference is
Samurai Showdown is
because you can they're fighters or they're what I mean. So there's more to it. I guess it's definitely got less going for it than an ACA title, but I probably enjoyed it more than an ACA title. So
I put more thought into it. I have a thing for puzzles versus another fighter, but and we've covered a lot of puzzles on here too. I like the dynamic; it was different, but I guess the unfortunate for me, it was really short. So Bo, keep that in mind. $8. If it goes on sale to $5, I would say clearly for $5, even for $8, it's there, but there's not a lot of replay, so just keep that in mind.
Yep.
All right. Well, until next week, Warren, you have a wonderful, wonderful week, sir. And
I'm going to try. You too, man.
All right. And we'll kick it back over to you, Fream, or Randy, whoever we're leading back into. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Chin Doctor, for spending some time with us, having a chat, and thank you for being a patron. That is just wonderful. Anything you want to get off your chest? Like, what's your plan for the week? You got anything fun? I mean, I assume just UHH stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all UHH. Hopefully get another 3 reasonable achievements, sit on 18 for the week. That'd be nice. And then see how the list goes for upcoming.
Wonderful. Proulx, what's your plan for the week? More UHH as well?
Yeah.
Anything leading up before cutoff?
No, not really. I'll probably just coast. Hopefully my opponent won't come back and sneak in and crush me. But it'll be UHH basically.
I got a wedding tomorrow night, so that's one of my key evenings for gaming. So I might be done. I might try to get 1 or 2 more, but before on Sunday night, maybe if I come in late on Saturday, I could do something. But I don't see a lot of gaming this weekend leading into the UHH. So I'm looking forward to a new list, I suppose. So that'll be great. So Chin, anywhere that you want people to reach you, contact you? Do you want to promote anything? This is your opportunity. I'm
on Twitter at Chin Doctor. I don't do much, but I've retweeted a lot of giveaways, so you'll probably find giveaways through me. Or you can, if you need to get me at all, I'm almost always on TA. Same thing, Chin Doctor. Send me a message. I stream a fair bit now with UHH, and I try to do it just generally during the week, starting at between 2 and 3 p.m. UTC. So you can work out your time zones for that. I try to be on every night, but sometimes life gets in the way,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's mixer.com/ChinDoctor.
Definitely check out his stream. It's super entertaining and fun. I've had, like I said earlier, tremendous amount of fun watching him this week. So I'll definitely be checking in going forward for sure.
Wonderful. Proulx, what about you? Where can we track you down?
You can find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word. That's probably the easiest place. Obviously on Xbox, you can find me at Proulx. I'm not going to spell it for you because by now you should know. And if you don't, you can find it in the show notes.
So pretentious.
I know.
Jeez Louise. Well, I've been Freamhole. Catch me on Twitter at Freamhole, FREAMWHOLE. I would love if you come and visit us over at my Discord channel, discord.me/Freamhole. That is where most of the action happens. And of course, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. I had a blast doing it. It's been great. We like we cheered about during the show. I could not do this show without all the people listening and all the people in the community. So thank you so much. And a huge special shout out to all of the patrons out there who help support the show financially. You people are amazing. Chin Doctor got to be on the show because of his donations. I've got 3 other people that I really want to reach out to because they've been so instrumental in the show. And so thank you again to everybody. If you are interested in supporting the show and getting into our random prize draw for the each month, whatever we're over our amounts up until tier 3 is we're trying to get to that video game threshold. We're giving away a $60 title, but in the meantime, we're at least giving away some codes and stuff. So it's certainly worth your time to join up. And that is over at patreon.com/ZZ. That would be wonderful. If that is too much to ask, and we understand that it can be a free way to do it, is just to promote our show through social media or rate and review us over at iTunes, and that just works out fantastic. So one last plug for the website is z2z.com. We mentioned we're going to put a bunch of links in there for things that we've talked about, so it'd be great if you visited or were curious. You could head over that way. And then the show has a Twitter at ZZZEDTOZED. And we have an email, contact@ZZ.com. So aside from Discord, we have our forums, forum.ZZ.com. That is where you'll find all of our contests and active things going on. Probably next show, we get to talk about the October contests. So wonderful, wonderful things on the horizon. With that being said, I want to thank everybody that helped make this show possible. And I'm going to close out this one. So thanks again to everybody. So on behalf of Proulx and Chin Docta, I've been Brandon. And to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next episode.